I think it's y'all's fault. It's your fault they pulled esports. You didn't take it serious. The community didn't take it serious. Why waste my time? Why waste my money on any of you?
When I was talking with Riot, I heard that from the higher ups, they cannot do all of these things. And that's what truly killed the game.
I'm going to tell you right now, the game's dead. And it's matchmaking's fault.
If you're Master Tier in Wild Rift, you're pretty much low elo. Like, anyone can get Master Tier. It's the top 20% of the player base. It's not a big achievement. It's lost all prestige, and it's considered low elo in my head. Wild Rift's gameplay is by far the best out of any mobile game. No other mobile game can compare. It's one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. The gameplay is amazing.
Today, I sat down with Royo and Joey to talk about the state of the game. Wild Rift has existed for 4 years already. We've had many ups, but also many downs. So we sat together and for 2 hours, we were talking about a lot of things. Esports, the new gacha system, the new skins, matchmaking, the future of matchmaking, the future of esports. How is it going to look like for content creators? How is it going to look like for casual gamers? And a lot more. Check out Royal, check out Woohoo Joey. Their respective links are going to be in the description. We would love to have your input as well in the comments. I've put timestamps in the description as well if you want to skip around to whatever question we're going to be addressing. Also remember, the skin giveaway is still live, giving away 3 skins this month. We would love to interact with you all. Me, Royal, and Woohoo Joey are going to be reading through the comments, and we're going to be answering some of you guys' questions as well. So, let's get rolling.
One of these things is not like the others. For those of you who don't know, you don't recognize me, I go by Woohoo Joey. I'm one of the smaller Wild Rift content creators out there. And I now sit before true Wild Rift community acclaim. And these two young men probably need no introduction. But for the sake of customs and courtesies, we have none other than HellsDevil and Royal. So in the digital world, give them a round of applause. Thank y'all for being here, men. We three gentlemen, we're here to discuss the state of Wild Rift. We're coming together as and on behalf of the community to discuss our current state of affairs, whether they be good or bad, and share our differing perspectives, and I'm sure they're very different. I did reach out to numerous creators within the community, so for the ones who had to miss this opportunity, hopefully there'll be more down the line, and we hope to see you there. And you, the viewers, you're all highly encouraged to share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section or wherever you find this video. The three of us desire to engage with the Wild Rift community and Riot Games, for that matter, in a productive, meaningful way. And podcast styles discussions like this are just, it's like a low-hanging fruit. It's an easy way to do it. So we share a common passion for the game, the community. We only want to see it thrive. And while everything discussed here today may not necessarily be positive in nature, it's rooted in good faith. So don't be too hard on us with your responses and feedbacks. But before we get started, hey, I can't tell you two how grateful I am for y'all to trust me and give me a little confidence and allow me to host this discussion. And hopefully this will go well enough that we could possibly consider making this a regular thing. I'm very grateful for you two. Thank you very much. Now, that being said, gentlemen, we're currently in season 15. And we've clearly come a long way. It's been 4 years since launch. But the question is, with the growth of Wild Rift has seen, has it been in a positive direction? And I want to ask you both now this here and at the end of our discussion to see if any of our positions change. And I want to do this without elaborating because we're going to do that for the video. But is Wild Rift thriving or dying? I think it's thriving. What do you say, Hells?
You know, I would love to say dying, but I would still say thriving, I guess. Because the game itself is doing good, even though we have no esports and whatever. The actual game is doing good. So I would say it's thriving, but thriving, I guess.
All right. Royal?
Yeah, I would say that it's not necessarily thriving, but it's definitely steadily growing. It's by no means dying. We're definitely in an uptrend of the game getting better. It seems like the player base is slowly increasing. So definitely an upwards trend.
Okay, awesome. Well, when I look back to launch, we were all honeymooning as a community. Everything was new and hyped. And things definitely had a different vibe. And obviously, you know, I think that's to be expected because most new games go through that. But I don't. I kind of expected Wild Rift to kind of carry that league energy perpetually. You know, I sort of expected Wild Rift to effectively become a staple of gaming and kind of be as big as League. And when I look at Wild Rift as a whole, you know, I can't help but admire how perfectly executed the game is from a developmental standpoint and the continued support, swift growth. But I find myself shocked at how obscure the game is, or how it seems to be obscure. Do you guys think this is due to being in the shadow of League PC? You know, do you think it's just the community out wanting to adopt it because it's a mobile game? Or do you believe that where Wild Rift is stifled, that it's doing it on its own merits? And I guess, Royal, you go first here.
Yep. Obviously, I came to Wild Rift from League of Legends. I had a decade of experience in League of Legends, so I can definitely speak to this. Wild Rift is actually the closest experience to League of Legends that you can get. It's unbelievably how similar the games are. And I would even say that Wild Rift actually feels smoother to play than League of Legends. I would actually put the pure gameplay aspect of Wild Rift, even though it's a little more simple, as better than League of Legends. I think the main issue, though, is because of how similar it is, there's no real reason for people who already play League of Legends to play Wild Rift. Or if you do have a PC, you never have a reason to play Wild Rift over League of Legends. I feel like they slightly failed in making the experience of Wild Rift be unique in the sense that this is a quicker version of League of Legends, right? Yeah. Like the games in Wild Rift now last 20 minutes. That's about the average. In League of Legends, they're like 30, 35. It's not really a massive difference. So I feel like the main issue that Wild Rift had when it first came out is how similar it actually was to League of Legends. I feel like now it starts to slightly differentiate itself with the Hextech update, for example, the gameplay being a little different. Yeah. But I feel like one of the main issues was how close it was to League of Legends. So why would you play Wild Rift when you can play League of Legends? Or why would you watch Wild Rift Esports when you can watch League of Legends Esports with Worlds coming out too?
Yeah, so Royal just gave his PC perspective. I suppose I'll give my mobile perspective because I have a similar experience with MOBAs, also like 10 years or so. For me, the reason that Wild Rift is so obscure in the mobile scene has multiple reasons. The number one reason is the way Riot does marketing, which is essentially they don't do any marketing at all, which unfortunately does not really work in the mobile ecosystem, especially considering that Wild Rift is already in the shadows of Mobile Legends. Clearly, it's already incredibly difficult to get players from an existing game to a new game, even though the new game is so much better than the existing game. The unfortunate reality is you just have to shove this marketing, these videos, keep going with that. And if you don't do any of that, of course, nothing is going to happen. And then the one way that Riot wanted to market with esports obviously failed massively as well. I know a little bit more about that as well, which I suppose we'll talk about later along in this podcast. So I'm not going to get into it too deeply. But everything was just messed up regarding the marketing, which is why I think it's just no one really knows, or a lot of people haven't even tried Wild Rift, is what I'm trying to say, from the mobile scene as well.
Yeah, the marketing was definitely not great in that sense, but Riot has a different strategy in terms of marketing, right? They like the organic growth, which I think, even though at the beginning, Wild Rift definitely wasn't as big as it should have been, we can start kind of seeing the fruits of their labor on focusing on gameplay, focusing on making a good game, and seeing organic growth. And I think over the last couple of years, we've seen quite a bit of organic growth.
Yeah. It looks like they might have a push going too with all of this skins Arcane, for sharing code, which this is what, a day old? Like this is, you know, it's kind of irrelevant to the discussion, but it could be kind of a glimpse of what's looking forward. So that's a cool thing. Yeah,
I'm really curious to how they're going to approach the Arcane marketing too, because this is a huge opportunity. A lot of people that I know in person played Wild Rift when Arcane came out because it's an easier entry point than League of Legends, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you as well, when the first season of Arcane came out, my viewership on YouTube skyrocketed during that month. I didn't expect it, But for some reason, indeed, Arcane had such a massive impact on the player base of Wild Rift. So indeed, I'm also very curious to see how it's going to affect the game now. And it actually seems like they're going quite all in with it. You know, we see all these hex gates and hex whatevers, which I suppose we're going to see in Arcane as well, right? Like, So
we're also getting the first Wild Rift exclusive champion, right?
Really? I didn't even know about that.
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not sure if it's... Yeah, is she Wild Rift exclusive or is she coming to League of Legends as well?
I think she was coming to League too. I don't know.
Maybe she is. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know.
But she's a character from Arcane.
Yeah. Well, I will say though that, you know, once I began to shift my focus to like content creation, I saw my perception of the game sort of change. I started to look at everything a little bit differently. Do you think that, you know,
in what sense do you mean that, by the way? Because I'm kind of curious why you say that.
Just the way I look at the game. When I look at it as a player, I just look at it as a game, if I'm frustrated or whatever. But as a content creator, it's kind of like, you know, we have our own analytics. We can see, like, when we upload to the channels, like, what does well, what doesn't do well. And for me, it kind of like, so I think where I'm at, nobody care. They just want to know how to win, right? So your guides, your tier list, they want to know the busted champs. I don't really see any like real engagement from the community. And I feel like that allows me to think that people can't have fun unless they're climbing, generally speaking. And so kind of where I was going with my question was, do you think that being a content creator gives us an advantage or warps our perspectives on, you know, kind of getting accurate pulse on the life of the game and what the community wants out of the game? I don't know if that's like, if I'm communicating that weird, but I feel like me personally, getting into content creation changed my perspective of the game.
I mean,
I totally get what you mean.
I can respond to that actually. So it's quite easy as a content creator to see how hyped people are for new patches. And I can tell you this, like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were extremely hyped with new patches. And I could see that because tier list videos, new patch note videos, patch preview videos, they would perform extremely well. Now, these videos, these patch preview videos, they perform worse than my average video. So I can tell right now as a content creator that people are just not as hyped anymore about new stuff that's coming just because of the performance of those videos. And you're saying people just care about how to win. Honestly, people just care about high elo content. You know, if you literally just look at the top content creators, what are we all trying to propose? Look at me, I'm challenger. Look at me, I'm the best in this. Look at me, I'm the best. So they only care about watching top tier gameplay, I suppose. They just want to get entertained and learn rather than watching fun content, I guess, which is a difference between Wild Rift and League. I think in League, it could work a lot better if you do fun content, like 5-man teleporting or 5-man this or that. Pretty sure that would perform quite well on PC League, but in Wild Rift, unfortunately, people just don't really care about that enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mostly agree. I kind of disagree with the high elo point. I think that there's a warped perspective in Wild Rift on what is considered high elo and what's considered good. Otherwise, we'd be seeing those channels that upload like Chinese gameplays pop off, or we'd be seeing a lot more.
We do though.
Attention.
There's like
not as
dozens
much
of Chinese videos every day.
Yeah, but they don't get like the same views as you and I, for example.
Well, yeah, because they upload so much. But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but I'm uploading like Sovereign NA gameplay, which is nowhere near as good as the Legend gameplay in China, for example, right?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, they have the advantage of, you know, me speaking and so on. But like the Chinese streaming sites, I'm not seeing a lot of hype for that. The main thing about your question, Joey, is I definitely have a terrible perspective in terms of I can't really see the game from a casual perspective anymore, right? As someone who just plays for fun, I can't see the game like that anymore, so I don't understand. Like when Galio's Aegis came out, to me that was like the worst thing that has ever happened. But I understand how from like a casual player that just wants to have fun, play a few games, not get inted, or at least not get punished when he gets inted. I can see why a casual player might want that change, but it's hard for me to relate because I spent so much time on this game. I see it so competitively.
Yeah.
That it does warp my perspective, definitely.
But it sounds to me like that's more of a high level player problem, not necessarily a content creator problem. But for you, it would be one and the same because that is your content. You're
exactly
the highest level of content.
I mean, to me, this is perfect because I don't play the game as much as Royal. I only play like 2 or 3 or 4 games a day. For me, it's easier to rank up now. That's the simple thing. Like, honestly, you know, I don't like to say this, but for me, I don't really care about rank personally. But I know the viewers, when they see Challenger, they're immediately like, wow, Challenger, you know, this content creator is a good player. So for me, this makes it, you know, this makes it easier for me to just raise Challenger real quick and then create the content like I always do. So for me, like, that's why for me, it's good, but I see how it's not good for Royal. I see how he doesn't enjoy this.
I care about the game quality first and the content second, to be honest. So if I could give up my YouTube channel and get a good matchmaking system, I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's cool. Well, let's talk about Wild Rift content creator space for a minute. I don't feel like personally that I see a lot of real effort from Wild Rift content creators. It kind of feels like a lot of us just go through the motions. And I think obviously we have a lot of talent and potential, but I don't see that or feel that passion or professionalism, you know, like as if I look at League on PC creators, I feel like they take themselves more serious, you know, they're more invested. Whereas a lot of times, if I'm honest, I'm regularly unimpressed and dismissive of a lot of our Wild Rift creators.
Shall I tell you why? I can immediately answer this question.
Yeah, okay. So what's your perspective? Well, and then also, where do you see yourself fitting in? So kind of, do you think I'm, you know, out of touch, biased, or, you know, really kind of speak on that? And then where do you think you personally fit in the bunch?
Yeah, so, you know, I actually get these comments quite often. I look at Reddit, I look at my comments. People are like, if you look at Wild Rift creators, they're so unprofessional. They don't really care. Compare it to PC League creators. You know, they make such better content. Now, I'm going to spill a little secret to you guys. I'm sure you guys and a lot of the viewers may know a PC creator named Swag. Now, this guy has 3 YouTube channels, okay?
I love
Swag.
Yeah,
he makes similar content as me and Royal, right? Honestly, even lower effort, but whatever. This guy, once he revealed how much revenue he makes in a video. I'm not going to get into full numbers, but he makes what I make in a month with my channel is what he makes in a day. Now, obviously, if you make that much money, you can be a lot more professional with your videos. You can hire a thumbnail designer, you can hire an editor.
True.
Hell, you can even hire an SEO specialist to look up better videos for you to make better videos, right? True. Me and Royal, you know, we probably have like some outside stuff to actually make our money, and then our YouTube channel is on the side. Now, I've been creating content for this game for 4 years already, and I can tell you in the beginning, you know, I would actually put more effort in as well. I had an editor, everything, because I was making more money. Like, everything was good with Wild, the viewership was good. But if you look at it now, you simply cannot make professional content. I mean, look at Strider, for example. This is the absolute best content the game can get. Strider, like, all of the viewers will know who this guy is. If you look up his channel. He stopped creating content because it just doesn't make sense anymore. The amount of effort. This guy would put like 10, 15 hours in a video. And if it only gets 50 to 100k views, it's just not worth it. It's simply not worth the time and effort. So that is the main reason why PC League creators create better content objectively. And almost a lot of other games, they just have better content because it's impossible for us to make better content.
Yeah, I completely agree with Hells. It's definitely Wild Rift creators are pretty bad in terms of content. And I'm obviously putting myself inside that bucket too. But the main reason, like Hells said, I can sit there and spend 100 hours making the best Wild Rift video you have ever seen. And it's going to get 50,000 views, right? Or I can spend 5 hours making a decently okay effort video and it's going to get 10,000 views, right?
Yeah.
But I can make 5 of those videos way faster than that super high effort video. Because Wild Rift is very capped in terms of viewership, like no video you make is going to, if it's not a tier list, no video you make will get more than 20k unless there's a few exceptions, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense for me to sit there and try to make the highest level content that I can, knowing that Wild Rift is capped simply because the player base is smaller and the viewership is smaller, right? And that happens for pretty much every creator. Strider is the only exception who really takes his time and makes really good content. And you can see in his viewership, like his average views are way higher than any other content creator but he only uploads once every few months because he puts a lot of effort in his videos. But financially, it wouldn't make sense. So if you're trying to create content, obviously we do this because we love making content, but we also want it to be somewhat viable. It just would not be, it is not possible with the current numbers. If Wild Rift grows in the future, I'm sure that the content will grow with it.
Yeah. I can kind of speak to this because, and I don't have my accurate numbers like right in front of me. I wasn't really prepared for this, but I will tell the community. So I do put a lot of effort into everything that I do. Aside from streaming, I'm now copy pasting and just kind of doing things, but I'm basically a year in from starting content. I've spent over $12,000 in game. We're about $15,000 total.
What?
Hold on, listen. And I've made $97 from my content.
Yeah.
$15,000 in. I've made $97. And I think, I want to say my highest, the most money I spent to make a video, because I do the gotcha stuff, which I'll kind of touch on later, but I think I spent $450 on film, and I think I got 6,000 views.
Can I quickly cut in on that before you continue? Because the content you are making with the gacha opening and whatnot, in every game, these types of videos go viral. Because I remember a content creator, for example, his name is Ben Tim. He actually used to make content on the game I used to play, Vainglory. His strategy to grow in a game called Brawl Stars was the exact same as what you did. He would buy all the gacha stuff, spend like $1,000 on the video, and then his videos would get millions of views, right? And then later they would get sponsored and everything. But it just doesn't work on Wild Rift, right? So hence your problem right here. So you can continue talking.
What's crazy is, and I don't want to come off salty or anything. I honestly don't care. I have a different world perspective, so none of this stuff really matters to me. This is just hobby. I enjoy it. But I will say, I'll say this publicly. I say it privately, but I'm the best gacha creator there is in Wild Rift. And I think I do the worst as far as numbers. I put crazy amounts of effort. I've lost count how many skins we've given away. My guild master's given away skins for participation in the guild. And it's crazy. Like, again, I don't really obsess over the numbers, but I'm shocked that we're still as low as we are. We're not even monetized on YouTube. And again, like, I think that I'm trying not to be like an arrogant asshole, but like, objectively, you can look at my quality and say, okay, maybe this guy's not my taste, but he's clearly trying. You know, like I'm actively trying to always do better, but I do worse than anybody. So I don't think that anybody. I recognize that gacha is interesting, and for my viewers, they love it, and I appreciate their engagement a lot. They want me opening those boxes. And true story, you can go look at all of my views. If I'm not opening boxes, I do not exist.
It's dangerous, though. It's a dangerous cycle to be on.
They want me to open those boxes. So, but anyway. So, moving on a little bit. I want to look at us a lot, you know, like the content creators. As far as it relates to the perception of Wild Rift on the whole, how much of the bad is our fault? You know, as creators, I think sometimes we forget like how influential we are with our audiences. We get careless and irresponsible sometimes with our language, and that can have a huge impact on the reception of the game. And I think that sometimes we are our own worst enemy. And damn near every content creator is saying, you know, don't spend a dime on this game, uninstall this trash, don't play it, Wild Rift is dead. And then we complain about the game dying or low viewership. And I'm not going to say names, but literally, one of the biggest Wild Rift streamers, I watched this dude. He, you know, has a relatively large audience. And he closed his stream out. He's like, I'm not playing this shit fucking game anymore. And then he ended the stream.
Is it me?
Is it
me? It's neither one of you, but, you know, this is supposed to be our bread and butter, right? And how is the community, or how can anybody ever fully embrace the game for the amazing title that it is when all of the creators who live and die theoretically by this game are telling everybody don't do it? You know, do you not agree we have a level of responsibility for that?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think it really matters. The percentage of the community that plays Wild Rift and actually watches our content is surprisingly small, right? There's millions of active players every day, and we get like a few thousand views. So maybe we kind of it's literally millions active players outside of China. So,
I think it is too.
Obviously, we're the vocal minority in this case, and the community online is way more toxic than the players who just, queue up to play their couple of games a day and have fun with their friends, right? That's the majority of the community. We're just the vocal minority, and I don't think the devs could care less about our opinions in the first place. I do agree with you that it kind of creates like a toxic online community for the game.
Yeah.
But that you have to understand that's the hardcore player base, right? The ones that really care about the improvement of the game, and they will be the most critical. And we might be kind of putting oil in the fire when we are negative on stream or negative in the videos. But to be honest, I feel like a lot of the criticism is warranted in the sense that we're the vocal minority that really cares about the game being competitive and good, right? So it makes sense for that criticism to come from us. But most of the broader Wild Rift community couldn't care less, and we're not affecting them whatsoever.
Okay. Well, I have a slightly different opinion on that. I agree that, of course, most of the community doesn't even see the videos and doesn't even care whatsoever. But the people that do, and I would assume the people that do, they're more hardcore. They're likely to spend more money on the game. They're likely to be playing this game for 8 hours a day. These are the type of players that actually fully play the game and try hard and want to get better and want to spend money on the game more than the player that just plays the game ever so often and doesn't really watch a video and much. So I think the creators do have a pretty massive impact on this. Not only that, I remember actually one time, and this was the last time I ever did this. I was trash talking a dev because he made a change to the game, and then for some reason I had a lot of viewers back then. Like most of my viewers went on Twitter and trash talked this dev to a point where he was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, etc. Yeah. So like I felt so bad because of that. So that was the last day I ever did something like that. So we do have an impact. Like if a big content creator trash talks someone or something, these people, like the viewers, if they can go on Twitter or on Reddit or on something and they just spam these people out, like it's terrible. Yeah, they're gonna propagate it. So yes, the creator does definitely have a pretty massive impact, and I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to, if I have thoughts, think twice about it before sharing it, because the people that are watching, they have a mouth as well. They can comment and be pretty toxic. So yeah, my perspective on this is a little bit different from Royal in a sense that
also, I'm pretty sure that most devs, they have, from what I know, most of the team that works in Wild Rift is now based in China, and there's a few teams in the West that also help out. So I feel like we have an even bigger separation from the dev team now, so our opinion doesn't matter even more. Obviously, I'm against any type of witch hunt. Every time I've talked to devs on Twitter or anywhere else, I've been more than respectful because I understand that this is their livelihood, this is their job. They obviously know how to do this a lot better than I do. I'm trying to give my feedback as a content creator, right?
Yeah. All right. Royal, what do you think sets you apart from all the content creators?
I think I am by far the best player when it comes to knowledge about the game. Not to sound egotistical, I might not have the best mechanics in game. In fact, I know I don't, right? I know there's way better players than me, especially when it comes to mechanics, because obviously I don't have a huge mobile experience, so I'm kind of getting old. But in terms of game understanding and game knowledge, I think I'm by far the best. It's actually kind of a shame, because I'm not even able to put my knowledge to the test anymore. Because obviously there's no esports. Obviously when esports existed, I wasn't a content creator, I was a pro player. If I was a content creator, however, I could have created a lot of high level content for esports. Yeah. Which I hope that I can in the future, and I'm starting to kind of try to be more involved in community tournaments and so on. But it's also the high elo gameplay of Wild Rift is really, really bad. Even in my rank 1 games, right? I was Sovereign rank 2 last season, and even in those games, the quality is just abysmal compared to PC League. so I can't even really make the content that I want to because it's just not possible in Wild Rift. For example, how can I make a video on here's how you perfectly set up a dive? It's not gonna matter because no jungler in Wild Rift, except maybe 3 players that I can name in NA and EU, know how to take advantage of you setting up the wave for a dive because they're not even gonna check your lane, right? So they don't know that they should come top for a dive. And this is like it's like master tier gameplay in League of Legends. But in Wild Rift, that just doesn't exist even at the highest level. It only kind of existed in esports.
Yeah.
So while I feel like that's my advantage, I feel like I can't even fully take advantage of it.
Big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, exactly.
Hells, what about you? What sets you apart?
Well, for me, I think I'm the only creator that really adds personality, like a big part of personality to my content. A lot of people don't like this. Like, I know a lot of people don't watch my content because of this, but like half of my video is talking about random stuff on how to cook a steak perfectly or something like that, which, you know, that's just my style of doing things. And then in addition to that, like my quick mastery of champions, like I pretty much, basically I play everything better than 95% of the players. You know, I may not be like the very best at something or whatnot, but like I play everything good enough to be able to teach most people what to do and what not. And then, as I said, I add the personal touch to it, which I think is what sets me apart as a content creator. I have nothing else to add to that. So
I actually think that Hells is probably the only content creator in Wild Rift that could literally leave Wild Rift right now, start a channel, a completely new game, and would be super successful at it. Because it seems like his fan base really enjoys his personality. I honestly think you should have done it a long time ago, but
you know what it is?
I think because people watch you for you and not necessarily your gameplay, or even though you are good, obviously, that's all I'm saying. But people watch you for you, it's easy for you to swap to a different game.
Yeah, I think objectively, Hells, I think it would be intellectually dishonest of anybody to not recognize that Hell's community is there for him. He's got some ride or die community to I agree with you, Royal. He could probably bounce any day and be all right.
The thing is, I love this game. Like, my way of doing things. Like, I remember when I did Vainglory, the game was dying. The game died, and for 2 years after the game died already, I was still making content for it. Because, like, when I love a game, I just keep playing that game. I don't do it for the money. I do it for enjoyment. Like, I love waking up. It sounds stupid. Like, I complain often about Wild Rift matchmaking and whatever, but this is still my favorite game. This is the only game I can play every single day and have fun and make videos on it. So, I love this game. I know a lot of people told me, make Brawl Stars content, move to this game, move to that game. I just don't like it. Like, I know I could get more viewers, but I just don't like it. So that's the thing about it. But the moment I get a game that I like more than Wild Rift, of course, I may hop the train. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Maybe when Valorant Mobile comes out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So this is cool. So we're about to get into on my notes here. We're about to actually get into the game rather than content. But like, this is a good catalyst for this, right? So let's pretend we're selling Wild Rift content creation. We're trying to attract new creators. How do you personally market this space? Like, what do you say to convince people to make content for this game?
So I think that the community is actually one of the best communities that exist in gaming. Obviously, there is a huge vocal minority that's extremely toxic towards creators and just toxic in general. And for the most part, it's just children on their mother's account. So after you do like your first 500 to 1,000 bans on Twitch or YouTube, after that, the community is genuinely awesome. Yeah. I love interacting with the community. I love interacting with everybody who hops on my stream, the YouTube comments. It's just a really, really awesome community, and it's very diverse in terms of both ethnicity and age. I'm always surprised because I do a lot of coaching too. There's many, many times where I'll have like 35-year-old clients who just love this game because they used to play League of Legends back in the day, and just, I don't know, it feels very, it feels very welcoming. So I would say that's probably the biggest attraction to making content for this game.
All right, Hells, sell it.
He nailed it. He absolutely, like, the exact same story, and the same thing with the coaching, right? Like getting these even older dudes that are just super interested still in this game. As I said, the community is the best part of this game, right? Like, And when you stream especially, you'll see so many different people. It's pretty much exactly what Royal said. I honestly have nothing to add to that. That would be the main reason to create content for this game, just of how nice the community really is, if you want to interact with the community. But if you care about numbers solely, then this is not going to be the game for you. If you're more community focused, you care about the people that are around you and everything, this is the perfect game.
Yeah. All right. So is that going to be our caution? You know, if we got someone who's convinced they want to be a Wild Rift creator, we're going to tell them no numbers.
Yes.
What do we caution people about?
You have to understand with Wild Rift, there's gonna be a cap, a ceiling cap. You're never gonna be able to get 1 million subscribers, right? You're never gonna be able to get hundreds of thousands of views per video. If that's what you're interested in, it's better to make content about a different game. However, if you want a somewhat small barrier of entry, right? Because again, the quality of content is kind of low. I feel like anyone that makes even somewhat good content can become decently big in Wild Rift and make their own community. Like, you have to understand, with every other game, it's gonna take years before you even get your first like 5 viewers on stream or 100 view videos. Like, that's really hard to do in most games. In Wild Rift, I feel like the barrier of entry to start building your own community, even if it's small, it's fairly easy. And the community is really nice. So if you're just interested in being a gaming YouTuber, this would be one of the best games to start if you just want to do it as like a hobby.
I slightly disagree with that. I think you can start and get a decent community. You know, on YouTube, yes, but there's no way that you're ever gonna grow on Twitch unless you're like a top 50 player, at least a challenger player, at least one of the best at something. That's on Twitch.
I mean, you'll have like 5 viewers. That's what I mean. I'm not saying you're gonna have like hundreds of viewers, right?
Yeah. But I mean, people don't really get into streaming career to get 5 viewers is what I would think. But the thing about YouTube as well is, I don't think anyone could ever become big enough to a point where it becomes like a serious side hustle. Unless, again, you are one of the best players, or you are just such a good personality that you can just easily compete with existing YouTubers like me and Royal, right? Because we've already built our audience for years. People watch us, you know, and for people to go from one content creator to another, they really need to be convinced that this other content creator makes better content. Now, as Royal said, that is going to be quite easy, if even as a content creator being myself, you know, it's going to be quite easy because our content is not the best quality. So if you truly want to put effort into it, if this is truly something you enjoy, within a couple of months, you would definitely be able to like gain 1,000 subscribers, even get thousands of views per video. And then who knows, you know, within a year, you could definitely take over as like a massive content creator in this game.
Okay.
I mean, YouTube is always hard, right? I'm just saying it's easier relative to other games. YouTube
unless a game is new.
Content creation will always be hard. Even like if then getting, that's like an opportunity, right? But YouTube is always, and content creation in general, because it's so saturated, it's always super difficult and super competitive to build any type of community.
But you are an example that it can work. Because when did you start creating Wild Rift content? Like
I started like a year ago,
Yeah. So like he's an example that you can definitely make it, even if you're too late. Because when he joined the content creator scene, everyone already had an established audience, but he still became one of the biggest, if not the biggest YouTuber in the game, even starting like 2 years ago. So it's possible if you have some unique trait, like for example, being such high rank and making great videos for people to enjoy. So if you have good content, inevitably you are gonna get viewers, but you gotta be real special for that. Like you gotta have some special traits if you truly want to make it.
And that's like my advice too. Yeah, I was gonna say that's my advice too. You have to find your niche. You have to find what's the reason people watch you, right? I try to market myself as, oh, I'm the rank 1 Wild Rift player, right? You watch me because I'm good at the game and I can make you good at the game. You have to make it simple. Are people gonna watch you because you're really funny? Are people gonna watch you because your personality is awesome? Are people gonna watch you because you're good?
Yeah.
Are people gonna watch you because you just, I don't know, make weird builds and you break the meta and you come up with all these new, unique ways to play the game? It could be anything, but you have to find your niche and give people a reason to watch you.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So now we're gonna dig into the actual game. Let's get in this game. Generally speaking, I only play ranked. It's difficult for me to kind of describe why, but I just kind of feel like anything else is a waste of time. But ever since my personal community started growing, I found myself playing a little bit more of the other modes for nothing other than to just bump elbows with them. And I think that I've played more ARAM and PvP actually last season. With new season just started 2 days ago, but last season than my 4 years combined. So, but I honestly only play those other modes with them. Are you guys putting any energy into any other mode, or are you mostly just ranked also?
So you can go ahead first.
Yeah, so
Yes,
normally
sorry,
I just
my bad.
yeah, I just play ranked. But I have a friend of mine who loves to play arena, and honestly, arena is quite fun. But I would only play a couple of games of arena, maybe once a month or something. But so mainly for me, it's ranked, just because I enjoy competitive gaming. I want to be gaming to gain rank. That's what makes me enjoy the game. So yeah, I only really play ranked 99% of the times.
Okay.
Yep. I'm definitely the same way. Ranked is the priority. If Legendary Q was more active, I would only play Legendary Q. I wouldn't even play normal ranked. However, I do enjoy my ARAMs. I love ARAM and I love Hextech ARAM. So I honestly hope, I wish there were some kind of like ARAM tournaments or competitive ARAM. In League of Legends, I don't know if you guys know this, but they do in-client tournaments. They call it Clash for the main game mode, obviously Summoner's Rift, but they've also started doing it for ARAM, so you can play ARAM tournaments with your friends, which I think is awesome, and I hope that comes to Wild Rift, because I do enjoy my ARAMs. However, the other more casual game modes like Arena or Earth or any of those rotating game modes, I generally do not enjoy.
Yeah. Well, we kind of touched on it earlier, but I'm in a strange position where so when I came to content creation, I didn't care about actually being a content creator, growing, or anything like that. I just wanted to kind of establish a community of people, because I had no one to play the game with. Nobody that I know wants to play the game. A close friend of mine who actually got me into the game, he calls it the chain curse. He just cursed me with it so he could leave, and so I'm gonna have to curse somebody with it so I can leave. But anyway, we're not into voodoo or anything like that, but basically I cover gacha events as sort of a means to kind of divert attention from my inability to play at a high level. And pretty much that's kind of where I found my niche. Like I cover the gacha events. So I have gachas, at least until Riot prices me out. And I think they're going to. I absolutely think Riot's going to price me out of gachas. But kind of in the vein of gachas, or whether it's ARAM, Hextech ARAM, or anything else, like, do you find it not worthwhile to create content for other game modes? Or is it just because you prefer ranked? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it just not worth it to do literal content, like upload for it?
Yeah, I know it's not worth it. If you care about viewership, it's not worth it. I tried
Mm-hmm.
once and it got like 1,000 views compared to like my average 10 to 20k views per video. So like it's absolutely not worth it if you want to get viewers. People only care about ranked, really.
If Hells can't do it, I definitely can't, because my content is based around getting really, really good at the game and seeing top tier gameplay. So if Hells can do it, I definitely cannot even attempt.
I did it at the pinnacle of Arcane when that, what was it? Or the Callista thing. Like when that solo mode of Callista came out. Everyone was hyped about it. I made one video. I literally deleted that video the day after because of how abysmally bad it was performing. So no, you can't.
I only played it to get fortitude cards.
You just can't. It doesn't work.
Is ARAM, other than like pinners on Reddit, is like ARAM even a thing? Like, is anybody doing that kind of content? Like what?
I don't think so.
Is it anything out there?
So, no. Which is weird, because you'd think that Wild Rift, the casual game modes of Wild Rift would appeal more to the casual player base of Wild Rift, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be the case.
That's crazy. So, kind of like in the vein of being a content creator, like, do you think playing ranked exclusively or excessively also contributes to a false sense of reality as far as the state of the game? Or do you think it even matters?
What do you mean with that?
So if we don't actively engage with all the other different game modes and the events at like an enthusiastic level where we're making content, if basically the beginning and end of every day is ranked, do you think that warps our perspective of the state of the game?
For me, the game is ranked, right? Nothing exists outside of ranked for me. Yeah. So I don't even consider the rest of the game modes to be part of the game as far as I'm aware, obviously. And that's what I talked about with having like a slightly warped perspective when it comes to the casual fan. But for me, other game modes are just there to kind of chill out, relax, but I don't even consider them part of the main game. The only thing I actually care about is the competitiveness, and it is the ranked. If they removed ranked tomorrow, I'd probably quit.
Yeah, I'd quit too.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so digging into ranked, I finished Diamond 3 or Diamond 2 last season, one or the other. And I think I'm an okay player. But I do, at least in my own mind, feel like I'm significantly better than the majority of my teams. And if I'm honest, I don't really know how to gauge myself, because the ridiculousness that I see in my matches, it destroys my perception of what's real. I've never played at a high level, so I can't really speak on this with authority, but I feel like matchmaking is disgustingly inefficient, and the outrageous disparity in skills, you know, the unquantifiable amount of almost nearly impossible coincidences, they completely undermine the integrity of the game. And anytime I want to take a critical look at myself and like how I play the game, you know, I'm always left scratching my head and arguing with myself about, you know, is this even real? Like, what the hell is going on? Are these bots? You know, I'm a LoserQ denier, and I want to establish that. Although I'm a LoserQ denier, but something feels very off to me about matchmaking ranked. And while I cannot put my finger on it, I can tell you that it doesn't feel real. It feels rigged, and I do not know if I'm good or not. All I know is I stay frustrated. Can you guys break down your rank experience?
Exactly what that is, by the way. I can pinpoint exactly the issue. The issue that causes Wild Rift ranked to be one of the worst experiences of all time, I will blame it all on a mechanic called Fortitude. Fortitude allows you to climb with a 50% win ratio, or even a negative percent win ratio, 49, 48. The matchmaking takes into account your stats and your win rate. It used to be more heavily on stats, now it's more heavily on win rate, ever since the whole Inting Sion thing, right? So since the game forces everyone to gravitate towards a 50% win rate, and loss prevented and loss shields exist, the players who get rewarded are not the players who play the best, it's the players who play the most. So every single rank has a combination of players who are there because they deserve it and they're good, and players that are there because they play the game a lot, but they're still bad, they still have really bad habits, they haven't improved to be on that skill level, they just play a lot. Yeah. So every game feels frustrating because there's many of these players in your team who will int, they will play bad, they will troll, and they will continue to climb and be the same rank as you or even higher. So in League of Legends, for example, right? If you're not serious about the game, you're not in Master Plus. It's not possible for you to be in Master Plus. If you're not super serious about the game, full timing the game, trying to go pro, you're not making it into Grandmasters. It is not possible, right? Players who just want to have fun, chill, troll, whatever, they get stuck in lower ranks. And in the middle ranks, which is like Emerald and Diamond, it's players who have dedicated themselves on improving and becoming good, right? No matter if they play a lot or not, they could play 2 or 3 games a day, but they've dedicated themselves and they're good and they deserve to be in that rank. In Wild Rift, there's many players who've just been inflated and do not deserve to be in that elo, and they consistently ruin the games of players who are actually trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first I'll get into the LoserQ thing. It's not that I believe in LoserQ. I know LoserQ used to exist. I'm saying used to because of the Inting Sion thing, right? Because the Inting Sion thing showed us that WinnersQ exists. You play terrible on paper, but you contribute to the win. You're gonna get amazing teammates because you're a terrible player on paper, right? And just as Royal said, they fixed this. To sort of be more towards the win rate. No, fixed it. Yeah, so fixed it as in like, now the game looks more at your win rate. And I have proof of this too. I have a friend of mine, Lux01, he's the top 2 Blitzcrank. He's the best Blitzcrank in Europe. And this guy has the best stats I have ever seen. He has like an 80% win rate and everything. And every time I play duo queue with this guy, we get the most abysmally bad teammates, and it's not a coincidence. It's everyone goes 0-7. Why? Because this guy always plays with a really good ADC. They just 2v8 every single game. So what does the game do? Instead of saying, okay, you deserve to be sovereign or whatever, you know, because you're so good. No, they give you terrible teammates to get your win rate to 50%. And as Royal said, the way Riot is pushing is indeed to play a lot. And this has a lot of issues, you know, fortitude, and indeed the recent change about like if you just get A or S rating, you're going to get more fortitude. You play a lot, you're going to get high elo. And this has a lot of inherent problems because, of course, you're going to get players that are not good in your games. The second problem, and in my opinion, this is a bigger problem, is people's egos are going to be up their asses. Because like, let's say a player that normally should be in Emerald rank is now suddenly Challenger, which is actually happening because he has like 1,200 games with a 50% win rate. He'll be in Challenger. These people are going to ruin games. Because number one, he's already achieved Challenger, so he doesn't care about ranking up anymore. Number two, he's just going to run down the games. He just doesn't care. Because he thinks everyone else is bad because this person is Challenger, even though he's a trash player. People's egos are just going to be up their ass, and it's going to ruin the games. And there's many, many other reasons that the games are going to be ruined when you have terrible players in high elo games. Also, let's say like you're a really good player. If there's 9 trash players around you, you're only going to get worse. So like even the good players are going to get worse at the game because of all of these terrible players being in high rank. You don't have this exclusive area with the best players. Because as Royal said, he's the top 1, top 2 player, and even his games are trash. He's not going to get any better, right?
I'll give you a perfect example for that. So I was ranked 2 in season 13, and I was ranked 2 Sovereign 160 marks. Jeez. And I matched with my team someone who just hit Master Tier for the first time ever. He was Master Tier 0 marks at the time, and his peak was Master Tier 1 mark. First time Master Tier. And I am in the same team as this player. The gap between us in terms of wins, 160 net wins, right? That's a bigger gap than Iron 4 and Master Tier.
It's impossible.
So he's closer to Iron 4 than he is to me in terms of wins and skill level, which makes it so that I can't really enjoy the game. Like the example I brought up before. I'm trying to set up a dive, right? He doesn't know what to do in that situation, and he shouldn't need to, right? Because he's still not that he's fairly new to the game. He's just learning. I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the matchmaking for putting me in the same game as him. Yeah. I want to play with the top 2,000 players. I don't want to play with anyone below that. That's what creates a fun experience for me, and that's what creates a fun experience for them as well. Because he didn't have fun that game.
All right. So I wanna carefully. I kind of had a. I didn't want to like go after you guys on a topic, but I do kind of want to challenge the so this basically play the games and you'll get the rank. I played close to 800 games this season, and I ended, it was Diamond 3 or I was around promo to Diamond 2 or something like that. I was stuck in Emerald, SVP, MVP, S rank, A rank almost every game. So when Galio's Aegis came out, I was like, let's go, give me this, you know. And I understand kind of what you're saying as far as inflating the ranks, but I play support. I try to play jungle, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'll admit, dude, I'm ass. I can't figure jungle out. I don't know why jungle's eluding me the way it is, but support, I have a lot of fun. And, you know, I had to move to Swain because I normally play enchanters. And Swain he's very fun to play with for me. I'm really enjoying him. But you can put in some work with him, but I never have anybody to work with. And it was interesting because one time I moved to Soraka. I really enjoyed playing with her. But the way I chalked it up was the matchmaking was expecting me to be somebody that I wasn't. I couldn't do anything with Soraka but support. And so while I was performing very well with her, I was useless because it gave me no teammates. So the Galio's Aegis was allowing me to move up, which, again, it may be in my own mind. I was like, no, I deserve this. I can only do so much where I'm at least without being willing to swap roles or champions, right? I recognize that as well. I was limited by my own personal choices, but my ability to play and perform has never been compromised, except for when I get people who just go 0-7, hang out at the turret. They're getting jungle instead of getting the turret. It's like just crazy stuff. Multiple lever awards, you know, AFKs, spam pinging and arguing in chat. This is behavior stuff that I know Riot can track. I know behavior doesn't change, right? People are who they are. If they're doing it now, they were doing it before. So, I guess
you're actually.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you're actually making a really, really good point there. And it's specific for the support role, and I want to tell you how it impacts high elo games too. No one in high elo main support and doesn't duo queue because it's impossible to climb in Sovereign if you don't duo queue and you play support. In NA, the server that I play on, there's only one player and he mains Spike, because the issue is if each team has one Sovereign player and 4 Master tier players, right? It's the job of the Sovereign player to completely stomp the Master tier players, right? So high elo becomes this bubble of, it doesn't matter who's the best, it matters who's the best at stomping low elo players, right? So if you play support, let's say that I want to main Soraka, right? And I'm playing Soraka and I'm the Sovereign player with 4 Master tier players. And the enemy Sovereign player is playing Viego jungle. Who's going to win that game? I'm not going to win it. So even if I want to play a different style, if I want to play tanks, if I want to play supports, I'm not allowed to, because I won't be able to be in Sovereign doing that. I'm just want to like kind of explain how the matchmaking punishes different play styles, if that makes sense. And you could be facing the same, right? It's asking you, the game wants you to be someone you're not, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the best way I've ever put it. Like it's expecting me to be something I'm not, you know. And what's crazy was I'll admit this, Soraka was and Zyra. Those 2 champions are some of the fun, like the most fun that I've had, but I can't do anything with them. I can only carry the game with Swain or Thresh. Like I can't, and then even I get to a breaking point. Like I can't do any more than what I can, you know? So as a support player and someone who's like just does not want to play any other role, I'm just kind of hamstrung, but it irks me when people say just spam games, you'll climb, it'll reward you. And I'm like at 800 games, you know, and I see you guys like 300, 400 games, you've been in Sovereign, and I'm like, what the hell? And honestly, Broken Support, I try to keep tabs on Broken Support. It seems that he struggles to climb too, and I think that dude objectively is one of the best players out there. And
well, I wouldn't say he just plays fun stuff. You know, if you look at it objectively, he just plays fun stuff. And I actually wanted to add to what you guys were saying. What were we just
talking about? Support is ruining the perception of support, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, like, because his playstyle. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say as well. His playstyle is just.
If I see another hard steel Swain or tank Jarvan comment in my YouTube, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like it's fine, it's fun. An okay pick. It's not the best, please.
It's fun. It works with the system. He has like a 49% win rate, but he's in Grandmaster Challenger rank, right? Because he's playing the system with this. He always gets S rank. He just plays the system. Blame the game. Don't blame the player, right? He's giving perfectly reasonable advice on how you can rank up as a support, even though it's an extremely unconventional way to rank up as a support. Oh, I wanted to add to the part where Royal said you will never get like to the top rank as a support. During Grandmaster Challenger, you can easily make it as a support, but indeed, if you try to get to like the top of the ladder, you're never gonna make it. And the reason, something else that needs to be added as well, is in the very, very top ranks, all of the duo queue players are pretty much gonna play support and ADC. So if you're playing support in solo queue, you're gonna get this random master ADC. Obviously, you're gonna get stomped in lane. It doesn't matter how good you are as a support, you're just simply gonna get stomped for that reason as well. So like if there's ever a duo or trio queue in the games, you're just gonna lose if you're the support in higher elos as well. So that's the unfortunate reality of playing support in super high ranks.
Every season, if you look at the top 10 players, it's all jungle mains, mid mains, ADC mains, sometimes a top main in there, and the only support main that consistently gets top 10 in NA at least is literally a Pike 1 trick, which is probably the only champion that you can get away with because he's like a carry, right?
Yeah. He is. He's not even really support. He's cleanup.
Everyone else, every support main who plays enchanters or engage tanks, they all dual queue, because if you don't, you're just in this massive disadvantage of support in high ranks.
That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. All right.
I mean, the role just has lower game impact.
Okay. Well, can either of you give an example of where you believe, matchmaking is good and Riot could actually replicate and implement that successfully into Wild Rift?
I definitely can. Yeah, you just have to directly copy what League of Legends has. That's it. Obviously, I'm not saying that League of Legends is perfect, but it's so much better than Wild Rift that you're starting with a good base and you can work from there. At this point, I think matchmaking Wild Rift for normal ranked is far too gone. No, they're never going to do a hard reset, which is what's required to fix it. So in my opinion, they should just swap out, just copy the exact system that League of Legends has, and just stick to that. My other suggestion...
Isn't League currently in like some... The players are kind of like pushing back against it? Aren't they having some problems now?
Yep. Because in League of Legends, they hate the rank inflation that exists, right? Which is what we have in Wild Rift. But I wanna give you the actual perspective of what rank inflation looks like in League of Legends and what it looks like in Wild Rift. So in League of Legends, the top... Wait, let me pull up the exact numbers. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So to be even... I guess the season just resets, so I can get perfect numbers. But in League of Legends... the top 1,000 players are Grandmaster, and the top 300 are Challenger. Master tier was around a few thousand players, maybe 10,000 in total, Master tier and up. But that's still the top 0.0% of players, right? It's 0.5% to be Master tier. In Wild Rift, if you're Master tier, you're in the top 15% of players.
I think it's even... It's even more. If I remember correctly,
towards the end of the season, it can become more because more players.
Grandmaster was 13%, by the way. Like I remember seeing that number.
Let's say Grandmaster. Let's just go with Master tier being 15%. Okay. The equivalent of that in League of Legends is your Emerald, right? So being Master tier in League of Legends or in Wild Rift is the equivalent percentile as being Emerald in League of Legends.
I see.
So the rank inflation that we have in Wild Rift is way higher. And in League of Legends, they're complaining about their slight rank inflation. That's what they're complaining about. When Wild Rift, it's like way worse, and we're just used to it at this point.
Yeah.
So the example that I gave as being like the rank 2 player, playing with that Master tier player, it would be the same as in League of Legends, Faker playing against an Emerald player, or being in the same game. It would completely ruin the quality of the game, right? And that's what we have in Wild Rift consistently for a while now. So my biggest suggestion would be just copy League of Legends if you want to continue with the normal ranked's existence. Or the other more easy to do suggestion, and I've sworn by this for like a year now, and I really hope they do it, which I think is the only way to fix rank outside of China, is to remove every rank above Master tier. Remove the leaderboard for normal ranked. So for example, you can be Master tier 100 marks, but no one knows because there's no leaderboard, right? It's just your own personal rank. And pretty much force anyone who wants to have any type of recognition to play Legendary Q. I think Legendary Q is actually really good, and its main issue is that no one plays it. If there were more players, if it had more prestige, if it had better rewards, I think Legendary Q could honestly really save Wild Rift. If you look on the Chinese server, normal ranked is mostly for casual players who just want to have fun with their friends, and Legendary Q is where players take it seriously, where players take it competitively, where players climb. No one takes even Sovereign in China seriously, but if you're a Legend and you're high rank in Legend, they assume that you're one of the best players.
Yeah, and I have a few things to add to this as well. We're looking at it from a player perspective, but if you look at it from Riot's perspective, at least in Wild Rift, generally the gamers are more casual than the PC gamers. So essentially what I'm noticing what Riot is doing is all the way in the beginning when the game just came out, Challenger was the absolute pinnacle. Like I remember the whole reason my channel went viral is because I reached Challenger once, and like suddenly tens of thousands of people rushed to my channel. If I now make a video like, look guys, I'm Sovereign, do you really think it's gonna get more than my usual viewers? Maybe it's gonna get a little bit more, but people just don't care. People don't care about that. Reason being is because of inflation. What Riot is doing is in the beginning, being Diamond was like, wow, look, I'm Diamond, I'm already getting good at the game, I'm Diamond. A year later, suddenly, you know, you need to be master to be considered good. And then every single time it kept going up and up and up. You know, suddenly you have to be grandmaster to be considered good. Then you have to be challenger to be considered good. Challenger is not even the pinnacle anymore. You know, challenger is now only good. And now we've reached a moment where, like, even if you're sovereign, as Royal said, like, it just doesn't matter anymore. We have so much inflation in ranked where it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And honestly, Legendary Q is the only thing that can save the game. I never played Legendary Q before. Reason being is because I was at the peak of my content creation. People didn't care about Legendary Q. But if, as Royal said, if the way this can work is if Riot forces it. They have to force it. Right? Like they indeed, honestly, just remove
rank anymore.
Like as he said, like I completely agree with that. Just literally remove all of the top ranks, force the top players to play Legendary Q. Because let's be real, 99%, 95% of the players just want to get a high rank. Look at me, I'm Grandmaster. Look at me, I'm Challenger. That's 95% of the players. But 5% of the players, maybe less, I don't know. The people that actually want to get good games, they would love to play Legendary Q. They would love to play that solo queue gameplay where you cannot see each other's names. Just try hard, full try hard. That's the best of the best quality games that you could ever get. So I would also love, like I would love it if Riot could implement something where Legendary Q would become a lot more viable to play, rather than just this stupid grind in ranked, which just makes no sense whatsoever. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you don't play more than 500 games, you're never going to reach Sovereign. Even if you have like a 70% win rate, I think the math doesn't add up. You just won't reach the top rank unless you play a ton of games. Of course, you need a high win rate, but you just need to play so much. It just makes no sense. Like, that needs to be done for matchmaking, in my opinion.
Riot actually did a poll when Legendary Q first came out, and even the vocal majority or the vocal minority of Twitter, that's very competitive, even they voted that Challenger is more prestigious than Legend, right?
That's
when getting Challenger at the time was like the easiest thing in the world, and getting Legend was practically impossible. It was really, really hard.
Yeah.
I think Legendary Q in general is harder, and there's not enough prestige that goes into your rank. Like now, since everyone's inflated, it's not really an achievement anymore to get Diamond. Like back in the day, getting Diamond, like Hal said, was a huge achievement. Especially when I first started playing League, Diamond was like this huge rank. If you manage Diamond, you're like a really good player automatically. But now it's just the basis of being okay at the game, you know? It loses its prestige.
Well, I never been a fan of Legendary rank. I actually got in on one season and participated in it. But why not? Because if we look at like right now what they've done, unless I'm wrong, I've been seeing the screenshots. You don't lose. So each rank that you're at, you have different rules and how they apply. And the gold and below, they don't even lose marks for losses. They don't have pink wards or sweepers. They don't have bans. So they now have new rules for the players depending on what their rank is. And so like I duo queued yesterday, I had pink wards and sweepers, but my ADC, because he was gold, he only had yellow wards.
Is that really? I think he just couldn't find the pink wards.
I'm not making this up.
I think he just couldn't find it, man. That's not a thing.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a mistake. The gameplay is always the same, but the bans are different.
Unless it glitched, and I even said, he's like, yo, I'm going to send you a screenshot. Let's look. And there were multiple different screenshots of notifications and like, you know, with the bans and then the mark loss. So
so the mark loss, what you're saying is true. So with gold and below, the gameplay is still the same. I think that ward thing might be a bug because I have an account in gold too, and it definitely has wards.
Okay.
The main differences are they removed the banning phase.
Okay.
You play versus bots. Half your games in gold are versus bots. They're not real people. Just so you can find the game first, which I'm completely fine with. I don't really have an issue with bots in low elo just to get players started. There's one more difference I forgot.
Well, it was the mark loss, the
mark
phase.
Loss. It's easier to climb as well because you need less fortitude to get your loss prevention card. You don't lose marks. Yeah, it's a lot easier to climb.
So if they're able to implement these things per rank, why not just get rid of Legendary Q altogether, and let everybody have their prestige challenger rank, and make the adjustments for master and higher? It has the same matchmaking and the rules, you know, no gamer tags, the all, you know, solo or whatever. Why not just implement the legendary queue matchmaking into Grandmaster and above or Master above, rather than have two different ladders, because you inherently have to pull from the pool. You know what I mean? Like you've got to dwindle the pool. And so now you've got, you know, PvP, you've got all your game modes, and then you have ranked. And then, oh wait, but we got the real ranked inside of ranked. And it's just kind of conflating, you know?
Yeah, that's what they have in League of Legends. Master and above pretty much has legendary queue rules.
Okay.
You can't duo queue, you can't. That's what they have in PC League. And they also have flex queue, which is what our normal ranked is like. It's a different. It's because people want to play with their friends, right? Not everyone wants to just solo queue. So if you want to play with your friends, I always think there should be an option there, but it shouldn't be seen as the competitive option. I'm completely fine with having two separate queues. You just have to have super strong incentives for people once they reach Master Tier or once they reach Diamond or whatever that rank is to be pushed into Legendary queue, right? Right now, there's no incentive because it's seen as more prestigious to be high rank and normal ranked. If you want to make into one ladder, I'm also completely fine with that. It's just a lot of people also want to just play with their friends, have a chill time, which again, they can play normals if that's what they want to do. But to me, normal ranked is pretty much normals at this point. The only reason I play it instead of Legendary queue is because you can't find the game in Legendary queue.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play on 300 ping in China.
I think the one way this could potentially be fixed to have two separate queues is we can go back to the point that Royal gave earlier, right? Like where if you reach Master, that's it. Like that's, I suppose, gonna be the flex queue. You just get Master and you can play with duo, trio queue and whatever, just get Master how many marks. And the moment you reach Master, you're gonna unlock this separate queue. And now, you know what's funny? People just don't want to get Legend rank. They want to be Challenger. So if they change the Legend rank to the Challenger, it's the branding, and then being, I don't know, being top 10 is gonna make you sovereign, right? Being top 10 in Legend queue. I can assure you, if that happens, people are gonna try hard their asses off.
All you need to do
rank.
is get rid of the leaderboard for normal ranked, because when you have a leaderboard, you're telling them this is a competitive game
100%.
mode when it's not. It would be the same as if in normal games right now we add the leaderboard. That's exactly what normal ranked is. So if they remove the leaderboard, I'm sure that people will play. If the only leaderboard that existed was the Legendary queue leaderboard, I'm sure most top players would swap to that.
And dude, imagine
but
if we have like
some nice rewards would be nice.
Imagine if we have the legendary leaderboards, and then maybe we could add like the Twitch channels or the YouTube channels to these people. Dude, if that happens, you know, in the game itself, think about it. Dude, think about being the #1 legend player in your region, and people can see you're live on Twitch. Now, do you not think this person is gonna get 1,000 viewers on Twitch?
Exactly. 100%.
100%.
Give some awesome rewards to those legend players, you know, really make it special. Give them like special recall animations, give them legendary skins that you can only get if you're a legend, you know. Make obviously I'm not saying give them RP or give them money, but create the incentives for it, right?
Yeah.
This would truly this would boost the content creators. You know, I can assure you, if this happened, all of the best players in the game, they would get so many more viewers. It's like the effect would be insane. The effect would be insane.
I think this
100%.
is the most important point for a Wild Rift too. I think fixing the ladder and the matchmaking should be a priority, because Wild Rift, even in the mobile space, is seen as the more advanced, hardest, most complex, most competitive MOBA, right? Yeah. So I definitely think that I'm not talking about esports. I'm talking about competition within the game.
Yeah, I understand.
I think this is something that they definitely need to improve on and fix, and it's not very hard to do. The only issue is that because the system works in China, they assume that it works everywhere. Because China has legend. Everything that we're talking about, China literally has. I don't actually think they have the in-client streamer thing. That's a great idea, by the way, Hells. But everything that we talk about, they literally have. But that's because their player base is like every other server combined plus more. So obviously it's a little different, and the culture there is a little different too. So I think they just need to stop. Just because it works in China doesn't mean it's gonna work in the rest of our servers, and they need to give different incentives for us.
Yeah. Well, it's been said that players are good at identifying problems, but they're horrible at providing solutions. So both of you wake up tomorrow, and Riot says you can make any single change you want to fix rank. What are you specifically gonna do? What would it achieve?
This kind of happened to me in real life, but with the esports thing. But
okay.
yeah. So, but you said change about rank, right?
Well, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Right.
we just talked about it, right? Like that's the exact thing.
Yeah.
It's
I
pretty
think
much
that's
the
exactly
exact same thing as Royal said is what I would change.
So, but
to
to
simplify
to
it-
distill it down, you say do what League of Legends is doing.
So there's two options here. I'll make it as
All right.
simple as possible so we can get a good clip. So
Let's go. Clip
one
it up.
option, copy League of Legends the exact same way that League of Legends is.
All
The
right.
second option that I like more personally is remove every rank above Master, remove the leaderboard for normal ranked. Legendary Queue is going to be the primary competitive game mode, and create awesome incentives for high ranks in Legendary Queue.
Okay.
Yeah, option 1 is not going to work anymore, even though it works on paper. Think about it. If someone reached Challenger last season and now suddenly he's in Platinum, do you really think he's going to keep playing this game? He's going to start blaming everyone for being terrible in his team.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, even though option 1 would work theoretically, it will never work. It would never
It's
work.
the same thing with real life inflation, right?
Yep.
No one wants deflation, but the amount of inflation that we've had now, the only real solution is a hard reset, and that's just not possible. So I think the only actual way to do it is to focus on Legendary Ranked.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so now I want to talk about the T-Hex Baron and the Herald, these new additions we got. Personally, I don't like them. It could kind of go back to the branding thing. Like, I don't necessarily mind change, but I don't like these things as they are. And I do appreciate the effort by Riot to like spice it up a little bit. But I miss the old stuff. You know, how are you guys feeling about the new Hex changes?
Well, I personally don't like them, but I definitely think it's the right thing to do. They need to keep spicing up the game. You know, same with the dragon changes. Same with, like, I remember the Elder Dragon got changed. It needs to keep happening. Like, you need to keep changing the game, because otherwise it will simply get boring. Again, I personally don't like the Hex Baron, but I think it's a good thing for the game to just keep bringing these new things. It's really, really good, actually. So it just keeps the game fresh with all the new things.
Royal?
I personally love it. I know that's not a common take, but I think the Wild Rift team in terms of gameplay is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And they keep getting better, in my opinion. I do love the separation between Wild Rift and League of Legends, because as League of Legends goes one direction, Wild Rift's going a different direction. So changes like the T-Hex, I've had so many players from League of Legends showing interest. Like, oh my god, what T-Hex? Why is there a random monster just going in the Rift, you know? Like, I love these types of changes. I love the separation that Wild Rift is making, becoming its own game. And again, it's Wild Rift. It's meant to be wild. So I love changes like this, and I hope they keep going with this direction of every few seasons there's a new theme, and we're going to create awesome, cool things around that theme.
Yeah.
Like we have Hex right now. I think it's an amazing direction, and huge props to Riot in terms of gameplay and in terms of making me feel like I'm in a Hex arena. They've done a great job, and I love that.
Yeah.
So, speaking on the Hextech stuff, Royal, it was like in September, you made a tweet talking about the Hextech ARAM, and you said something to the effect of, you hope you bring that to the real game. Will you please explain what you meant by that? Because I hope you weren't meaning to bring those augments to ranked. Please tell me that's not what you meant.
That's actually exactly what I meant.
No!
So, like I said, for me, the real game is ranked. And I love the augments. I really like the augments in TFT, and I really like that they brought them for Hextech ARAM. Obviously, they were unbelievably strong. Like Reprisal Armor, I don't know if you played, but Reprisal Armor was the most broken augment of all time on every tank. Obviously, I don't want them to be that strong, right? I want them to be weaker and more balanced. But I think Wild Rift should be wild, and I love the adaptability of the augments, how it changes your playstyle. I think that's an amazing change. And I hope that Wild Rift considers bringing augments to the Summoner's Rift and into ranked, because I want Wild Rift to be wild, and I love changes like that.
Yeah, honestly,
that would be a little too wild. I'm not on board with that, Riot. If you ever see this, I think that dude is crazy.
I'm on board. I'm also the crazy dude then.
I think obviously they were way too overpowered. They should be way more balanced.
It should be weaker,
their game impact shouldn't be that good. But like look at runes, for example, right? Runes create interesting variations of the game, and I think having random augments that will kind of make you adapt on the spot, I think that's an interesting change that they can explore a little more in a more competitive setting.
It kind of creates an RNG to it, though.
Oh, it for sure does, and I like that even more, to be honest.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think it's good. I think it's a good idea as well.
They're the high level players. I'm the casual guy. Riot.
You know, it just makes it fun. Like, that's the thing. It just makes it more fun.
No, it was fun. I played it. It was fun.
Because look at TFT, for example. Imagine TFT had no... Well, I mean, TFT has to have augments.
I don't know anything about TFT. I just have to say
yeah, so like, having augments, but they shouldn't be that strong. They shouldn't be as strong where they just
They shouldn't be game defining.
They shouldn't be game defining, but like, they should kind of change your playstyle. Let's say you get like a really good invading augment or whatever, and then suddenly, you know, you're going to invade more because of that augment, because you're suddenly so good at invading.
You double the damage to the enemy camps.
So that just makes everything so much more interesting. But then
like,
also...
I think that would be so cool.
Right, and to not make it random, you can have like 5 resets, right? So you can keep resetting, get new augments. Just, I think it's a good idea. Yeah, stuff like that is truly what would make Wild Rift a really cool game. So yeah, I agree.
Make it Wild Rift.
Make it wild,
exactly.
right? That's the point.
So, all right. So here's a topic I'm most familiar with. It's monetization, and I know you guys don't really care much for it, but
I do.
It's a fact that it's a necessary evil. You know, Riot's got to pay the bills, and the only way to do it is through monetization. And obviously, it goes without saying, but you know, I'm sort of in a state of heavy disdain towards Riot. With how they're doing monetization. Vehemently, I do not like the road Wild Rift's taking with monetization. I hate it. I'm disgusted by it. And I'd like to get y'all's opinions on the matter. You know, what are you guys buying? Are you guys getting the wild passes, the skins, you know, any of the gotchas? Like, what, if any, are you spending on for this game?
Joey, I appreciate you for keeping the game free to play for me.
Right.
Because I do not spend any money in Wild Rift.
Oh, no.
I have only recently started getting the Wild Pass in the last few months. And the only reason I've gotten it is because I discovered that you get Fortitude cards on the Wild Pass.
In the Wild Pass?
Yes. I made a whole video about that. I made a whole video about that. I was outraged.
Is this real?
It is real. I was absolutely outraged because it's a pay-to-win element to climb in ranked, right? It's not pay-to-win, but it's pay-to-climb. I was absolutely outraged, and it seemed like I was the only one who cared. Everyone else is like, oh, it's only a couple 42 cards, who cares? It's about the like concept of it, right? Like, yeah, you should not be able to spend money and have an advantage in ranked over other players, right? So ever since then, I've actually just bought the Wild Rift Pass just for that reason, but other than that, I have not spent any time in any other money in Wild Rift. I do obviously disagree with predatory gacha strategies that most mobile games use. I used to have a background in Yu-Gi-Oh! I played a lot of FIFA, where you have like the packs, right? So I kind of understand the whole space quite well. But as long as the gameplay is not impacted, in the sense that I know in Mobile Legends you need a skin to increase your champion stats, which is just ridiculous. So as long as nothing like that exists, I couldn't care less if skins cost $1,000, $2,000, $1 million. I honestly could not care less. It's cosmetic changes. Obviously, because Wild Rift is a game that a lot of minors play, I feel like that's where Riot kind of needs to make sure that they're not promoting gambling to minors, right? And they're not promoting those gacha events to younger kids. But other than that, I couldn't care less about the pricing or anything like that, since I just simply don't buy them.
Yeah, so I've spent like, I don't know exactly how much, but probably around 3,000 euros on this game. But I've probably only spent like 20 bucks or like maybe 50 bucks for myself. I've done giveaways, right? Like before they changed those giveaways, I would give away 15 skins every month. So that's 150 euros every month. I would do that for like 2 years. Yeah, because it was worth it for me. I was spending like 150 euros a month on that, but of course I would get more comments, more likes and everything. So for me, and of course giving skins to the community. So that's the only way I've really spent money on this game. But since a year or two or so, funny thing, I'm doing giveaways again now, but I don't like supporting the game, so I now give money to the winners instead of actually gifting them the skin. The thing is, I have a bit of a different perspective than Royo on this. Like, I personally don't care either, right? Like, they have gacha and whatnot. I'm never gonna do it, but I really, really, really despise that it's gambling and it's incentivizing to people to gamble, because I may not have a gambling problem, but there's a lot of people that do. And I really think it's not a good thing that these people hop onto a game. They may want to get distracted for gambling, right? Like maybe these guys are gambling addicts, They're playing Wild Rift to get distracted, and then suddenly it all gets shoved in their face. You can gamble here, you can get this amazing skin. If you just, roll here, you just pay 200 wild cores. I think it's a terrible thing. Also for kids, right? Like this, if you're a kid, if you're like 13, 14, 15 years old, you finally gotten like $50 from your mother to buy wild cores instead of just buying your favorite skins. You're not going to gamble with it, right? Maybe you're going to win a lot. Right, you won your skin. Suddenly in your mind, a switch has gone up. Like, okay, gambling can pay off, right? And as a 13, 14-year-old kid, I think it's an extremely dangerous thing when something like that happens. Same with FIFA and everything. I was completely against it. And I believe rulings got changed as well, where the game is not allowed to... I don't know what changed, but some stuff changed.
In Belgium, they banned Pokemon Unite, or they're removing it because of their... gacha events.
Netherlands as well.
Gambling
there's stuff that got removed in the Netherlands as well because of loot boxing. You're not allowed to have loot boxes in games anymore, which I think is an amazing thing.
I personally think that if you're under 18, it should not be in the game whatsoever. I think for over 18, you should be able to make your own decisions, right? I'm personally never gonna do it, but if people just enjoy that, then that's fine. Yeah. But I definitely think that if you're under 18 in Wild Rift, there should not be an option for gambling. And I do want to also say that I respect Riot a lot, because in esports, I don't know if you guys know this, no Riot Esport has gambling sponsors. So League of Legends has no gambling sponsors, and this is pretty much how sports even exist in Europe. Every team has gambling sponsors in sports and esports, and Riot has stayed away from that, and that is something I respect them for. I just hope that they don't bring in their own games with gacha events.
Well, I think that, my perspective is, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my gacha videos, but one of the issues is like when it originally came out, so when the game started, it was just straight microtransactions. You just buy the skin.
And the Wild Pass, right?
I believe it was Supreme Sales was the first gacha event. So now the last two events after the Fiend Queller has just been the regular, you can buy the skins outright in the shop, except for the Hextech skin. Or you could participate in the little mini gacha they got. Now, for me personally, I don't like gacha, but I wish they would leave it like that, because an example, so for like with the whatever the princess one was, I can't remember what it's like, the Diamond Rose, or whatever the skin line's called, and then the Fiend Queller, they're putting in these mechanics that are intentionally deceptive. They're confusing. They have these weird secondary, tertiary, quadric currencies. It's very confusing.
Yeah,
it's not
really
straightforward anymore. And that's where I draw the line. And the last two events that we've had, even the one that's going right now, the little gacha that they have, I think that should be it. If you're going to have gacha, you can either buy the skins or risk it for the brisket, so to speak. Go ahead and go do the little mini gacha. But all this elaborate, confusing, deceptive stuff, Riot doesn't have to do that. People are going to give them their money. They've already proven it, right?
Well, so I disagree with that.
Why are we trying to trick people? Why are we messing with folks?
Actually, like in this recent patch, I believe they added something new where you can have like a subscription for €5.35, I think it was. I don't remember the exact details of this, but I think you get like free skin trials or whatever from it. But I want to add to that, because I think this is a really, really good idea. So for me, to keep it ethical, right? Like if you don't, obviously Riot just wants to make money, right? While trying to stay somewhat ethical, but the way to make the most money is gambling with every single thing. Like you can hate it or not, gambling is just going to make you the most money.
Yeah.
Same with me. Like I have sponsors. I've had gambling companies reach out to me trying to offer me like 5 times the amount normal companies would offer. I declined, but that's the money. Like that's where the money really is if you just care about money. But what I think is a really, really good idea to monetize this game, number one is the Wild Pass. I think the Wild Pass, because it gives you great value, and that's a really, really good thing to have. Number two is actually this new thing they're adding. It has potential, because think about it. If you can have a subscription to Wild Rift, pay €50 a month to have all skins unlocked, or maybe more, like I don't know, to have everything unlocked, pay €100 a month, whatever, right? Like pay something like that to have everything unlocked. Maybe you can pay like 30 euros a month to have all the heroes unlocked or stuff like that. Just you know, have stuff unlocked for a monthly subscription. I think that's good. And maybe give some exclusive stuff in the game, like cooler borders, maybe some different pings, maybe a different, just cosmetics, right? Like not pay to win stuff, cosmetics. I think that is a really, really good way to monetize the game. And that's potentially a way that I would support the game as well. Because I think it's really, really cool to have like all skins available. If you keep paying, right? Like if you stop paying, you just lose everything. This is such a good thing to do because people are sort of going to be stuck to this. They're not just going to pay for a month. They're going to pay for the entirety that they're playing this game. And if you look at a lifetime of an average player, I don't know how long that's going to be, maybe a year, maybe a couple of months. I think you're going to make more money on average rather than just focusing on the wills alone. I'm not sure about that in Wild Rift, because if you look at Raid Shadow Legends, for example, of course, they're just focused on the wills. But I think in a game of Wild Rift, the wills are not carrying it as much as like your average player.
I mean, I think the difference between gambling, so like gacha events where you have a chance to get a skin every loot box open or whatever, the Riot just makes way more money on that. It's by far the most amount of money. So as long as I exist, they're gonna keep doing it. Like, we can talk about it and obviously condemn part of it, but at the end of the day, Riot's a company. They want to make money. They're gonna do what makes the most money. So
well, they tried to be ethical. In the beginning, they didn't do it.
No, at the beginning it wasn't really the meta to do it. No company was doing it, right?
They were.
So now
Look at Brawl Stars. Look at Supercell. Sorry.
But I'm saying it's a fairly recent thing. Like, you're only looking at Wild Rift. I'm looking at like Riot as a company as a whole, right? Like, gacha is kind of a recent thing that's coming up to these bigger games. I think it really started with Genshin Impact. I think that's the game that really started it.
I mean, is it though? Because look at Raid Shadow Legends. Games. Look at all the Supercell games. It was all filled with gacha already, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that's just the way to do it now. That's the best way to monetize. So Riot is just gonna also do that.
Yeah.
As long as they're keeping the game free to play and not pay to win, I'm happy, to be honest. So I think the rest of it is obviously personal decisions. I just think that should be away from minors.
Yep. Keep kids away from it. 100% agree.
All right. Well, I keep saying it. I guess we're growing, but I'm a pretty small creator, and I do love the community that I have, but we're not very significant at the moment, so it's difficult to get a lot of people to rally and participate in some of the things that I do have ideas for. I have some pretty advanced content ideas that I want to do, and I think they'll really pop off, but I don't have any support from Riot. They probably don't even know I exist, but I'm not familiar with a community manager or like a liaison or like a content creator rep, someone I can reach out and just ask a simple question to make sure it's okay that I do this thing. And one of the things that I want to do, believe it or not, I think it would break terms of service. Not in the way that people think it would, but like I want to do this thing, and I think that it would put me and the other person at risk of a ban. So I just want to say, hey, Riot, can I do this thing? You're going to make more money, but like, just can I do this? But all that to say, I can understand the issue with dedicating staff, for thousands of content creator silly requests. But being a creator who cares a lot about building community and doing giveaways, holding events without any level of support from Riot, it sucks. And I can't tell you how many times I've wished that I could just ask someone at Riot a simple question. And my question is, does not having Riot support ever hinder your content creation, or do you even think about that kind of thing?
Okay, I have a perfect story.
That's a lot. I'm sorry.
I have a literal perfect story that describes how much Riot cares about us content creators.
Okay.
So I was playing in Europe, right? My account was in Europe. I had every champion. I had some skins. And I moved to NA around a year and a half ago. I was already making content. I think I already had like 10,000 subscribers. I wasn't massive, but I was getting really good views. I was averaging like over 10,000 views per video. So when I moved over to NA, obviously in Wild Rift, it's not like League of Legends. You can't transfer over your account. You have to make a new account in every region you're in.
Yeah.
So I want to get in touch with Riot for them to unlock some champions for me so I can continue making content for all the champions. Because starting over, it takes me a while to get those champions.
Don't tell me they didn't do anything
months
for you,
and
dude.
months looking for a person. I eventually found the community manager that's in charge of the creators. And they pretty much told me, no, we don't care.
Jeez, really?
That was pretty much the response. I never managed to get any of those champions unlocked. So it definitely did hinder my content. It was during the time where they were transitioning most of their team to China.
Dude, that has to be like the easiest thing to do. Like,
oh yeah, they did it for us when we went to Singapore. They just gave us all accounts filled with everything, so they can easily do it.
Exists. Every league creator, even the previous league creators, don't even make videos anymore. Have multiple Riot accounts that have even the skins unlocked, so they can show off their skins. Right? I wasn't even asking for the skins. I just want the champions unlocked, which or at least from my account or something.
That's
I don't want
terrible.
to
I didn't even know about this.
Buying every champion, which I didn't. I just grinded. So that's how little Wild Rift actually cares about its creators.
That sounds so silly.
They did care a few years ago, so they had the League Partner Program. So a lot of creators, I'm not sure if Hells is in it, but a lot of creators in Europe specifically are given some codes. They're given the patch notes a little early. So some things do exist. However, it seems like Wild Rift's completely out of touch with the newer creators like me, especially. I get zero support, I get nothing. I have to sit there and beg Stuart on Discord for the patch notes, just so I know what's going on with the game, right?
Yeah, so I can talk about this more in depth, because unfortunately Royal joined the content creator scene a little bit later. Wow, this story is honestly crazy. This should not have existed, but I've been there all the way through. I've been in the Riot content creator program. I've been out of it and everything. I've done everything, and what I can say is all the way in the beginning, Riot didn't really support content creators. Like, you know, they would. If I remember correctly, they would give you early patch notes. That's it. You could just make an early patch note video, which doesn't really help you much. But when esports started, I really noticed they actually did really support the big content creators. You know, me, Darkbreaker, Stuart. I think those are the biggest examples in Europe. But they would like actually genuinely support us, as in get us into the casting scene, right? Like get us into the casting scene. And in my example, also Rift Guides, by the way. Riot has worked with me and Rift Guides directly to do like content for Riot. Like that directly supports us, the creators. So they have definitely done big things like that for, like, I suppose the big creators. But if you look at the smaller creators, back in those days, they didn't really do anything too helpful. Like, again, you would get early patch notes. At some point, they would do skin giveaways. So you would get, this was actually a really good thing. I love this a lot, because with skin giveaways, you could give away codes, boost your YouTube audience, because if you give away skins, tell people, like, put down a comment if you want to win a skin. You can try it, like, if you've tried it yourself probably. Instead of getting like 10 comments, you're going to get 50 comments, which then boosts your videos, gets more viewers, etc, etc. It helps a lot, right? Or you can post it on Twitter, get like 500 retweets, get a lot of followers. This is the kind of stuff Riot did, and it really actually helped a lot with content creators. Even like me, I already had an established audience, but I gained thousands of followers, mostly through my own giveaways, but like, that's because I did my giveaways myself. Now imagine if Riot did more of this, all of the Riot creators would have more Twitter followers, more Insta followers, more YouTube engagement, which directly, or I guess I have to say indirectly, supports the game as well, because your creators are bigger. Your creators are bigger. If they're bigger, they make more money. They get more sponsors, right? If they get more sponsors, they make better content. They make more content. They're more incentivized to make content for the game. So that's how it used to be. It was actually quite good. I don't think it was enough, but it was good. It was okay. Albeit there was no program for NA creators, which was very stupid in my opinion. I remember D'Enzio, he kept messaging me, starting all over. We're like, what the hell, man? How do you get the patch notes? How do you get the skins? There was just not a program for NA for some weird reason. I really think they should have doubled down on that 100%. They've lost a lot of creators this way by not supporting them at all.
I'll tell you, skin giveaways are the worst thing ever. They're fun in the moment, but they suck, dude. People don't have PayPal. If they're EU or whatever, I can't give them a skin. It's like I just want an account where I can buy a code directly from Riot. I'll pay for it. You know, don't give me free codes. I'll just give me a way to streamline this.
They have codes. That's the funny thing. They have them.
Codes.
But like they don't make it easier for you. They don't make it easy for you because they don't care about you. They don't care about me, and they don't care about Royal. Like if they care,
I told you how much they care about Royal.
Like they would give you the codes.
Less about Royal.
They would give you the codes, right, to just give away.
Days. We gotta wait 2 weeks, guys. Sorry.
No,
you know,
seriously.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And like you said, Joey, I have a lot of really good ideas that would need Riot support, especially with I have a lot of like friends from League of Legends, streamers and so on that have had ideas that would kind of need Riot support to make the projects happen, but I can't even get them to unlock champions from me. I don't know if I can get them to sponsor or at least help me do these types of like bigger ideas, right?
Yeah, now they don't care at all anymore. I'm at the point
where I don't even need support. I just need permission. You know what I mean? Like, just tell me yes. Is that too much trouble to get a yes?
you can break the rules and you probably don't care. Maybe avoid doing it on your main account, but you're probably not gonna face any repercussions.
Yeah, no.
Well, I just to kind of I need permission to use another person's account, but I want to do it while I'm on stream. So
you feel free to do it. Just make sure that the account is not like an account that has like a lot of skins and stuff, because that might get banned, but even that is unlikely.
Let's just say, you know what? I'll tell you. Maybe Riot will see this. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll say it. I want to do these gacha events. I want my viewers, you know, if I'm going to spend $500, I want to pick a winner and do it on their account.
Oh, that's sick. That's really sick.
The problem is
allowed to do that. Like,
I put myself at risk because allowing someone on your account and accessing another account is both against TOS. So if I were to pick a winner and say, you know, hey, Zaked, I'm doing the event on your account, you know, I'm still giving Riot the $500, but
and you're afraid they might ban him
and me because I'm live on stream on his account.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
So I don't think it will happen. Yeah, I don't think it would happen. But in theory, if Riot really want to, they can ban you.
You can send a ticket and ask.
It's always a little risky.
It's the only way.
It may sound weird.
You're gonna get a bot reply.
I don't want to talk. Really? That's why I was gonna say I don't care about talking to support. Like they don't. It's always these weird copy pasted, impersonal, you know, it's just weird stuff. So, but yeah, not having some type of liaison or something, it stops a lot of my content. Like I got crazy ideas, but I just need someone to say yes or no, Joey, you know?
I guess.
But anyway, moving on. So, what do you guys think? Just to hit that one more time. What are some things you think Riot could do that are simple just to help encourage content creators to be more positive, even less critical of the game? What do you think they should do?
Fix the matchmaking. 99% of content creators, or at least me personally, I have only complained about one thing in Wild Rift, and I will continue to complain about it until it is fixed. I'm the #1 soldier. If matchmaking has no haters, I'm no longer here. I will continue to hate on the Wild Rift matchmaking. That's the only thing I complain about. That's the only thing I critique. If they fix that, I will be the most positive streamer and content creator of all time. And if you notice all of my content, I'm very, very positive. I always praise Riot. It's only one thing that's been awful for a while. However, that's what most of my content is based on. So if they can fix that, I would be very, very grateful.
Yeah.
Well, on top of that, I think if they genuinely want to improve content creation for Wild Rift, they need to have more incentivized stuff. Not sure if it has to be money, but like at least in-game currency, I guess. Oh, that's my dog. But I think money would be good as well. I think money would be good as well if they can have like a budget, because I think Genshin Impact did that, where if you like the top content creators will get paid. I think that's a good thing as well to have in this game, to truly add competition. Like, you know, the one that gets the most views on YouTube in a month will get like, I don't know, like $2,000, and then the #2 gets this much, #3 gets this much. That way, you know, suddenly the creators will make a lot more content, right? They will actually do their best more to make videos. The one that has the highest...
Yeah, what I think is awesome, and it would definitely help Joey most of all, is creator codes. That's something that Fortnite has.
Oh, yeah,
I doubt League of Legends, or I doubt Wild Rift will add it, because no Riot game has it. But I think creator codes definitely would help creators the most. So if whoever use your creator code, if they maybe get like a tiny discount, and then
You don't get
like
a discount. The
1% or
creator just
5%.
gets 5%. That's
Do
how
they
it
not
works in
even
Brawl
get a
Stars.
discount when you use
No,
a
so
code?
the way it works in Brawl Stars is the creators, of course, keep promoting their codes, and the creators will earn a 5% commission. But the players will do it regardless because they just want to support the creator.
So they just do it to help the creator. They don't actually get anything?
Yeah.
They don't get anything.
Well, even better, you know, just add the creator codes. That would be massive help. I don't think Riot would ever do that, to be honest, but that would be absolute massive help. And I think that would also incentivize more players start creating content.
I mean, I would buy skins, right? Like, I would buy skins and tell people, if you want to get this skin as well, use my code, blah, 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 right? Like, every creator is going to do stuff like that, which incentivizes people.
They might force me to start buying skins.
You know what's crazy? Like, Fortnite actually gives the content creators the new hype skins, like Crystal Rose, if it was a big event, they give them to the creators to play with and be like, look what's coming out next. They get it early so that their viewers are like, yo, that's a cool skin. So they're actually seeing it in action. Like, Fortnite literally does this.
Fortnite is so good when it comes to creators, by the way. Fortnite is so good when it comes to creators.
And they are the standard at making money, dude. Like, Fortnite is crazy. And everything is like, you already know what it costs. They got the bundles. I don't want to go back to monetization, but it's...
They popularized the Battle Pass, by the way. Fortnite was the first company or the first game that really made Battle Passes huge.
Yeah,
before that, it wasn't really that common of a...
Definitely.
Yeah.
The smartest company I've ever seen. Sorry, you can talk.
Another thing that Fortnite does, and I think I mentioned with League of Legends as well, is they do their esports within the client. Sorry, this is a bit of a sidetrack, but I think this is a great thing that I want to highlight, and I hope that Riot does. This is the biggest thing that I think would make Wild Rift a million times better.
Yeah.
Is adding in-client tournaments.
Yeah.
Similar to Clash in League of Legends or Cash Cups in Fortnite. Just name it Wild Wednesdays and have a little tournament every Wednesday that you can play with your friends. Coming back from school, coming back from work, hopping on with your squad on your mobile phone, playing Wild Wednesdays, playing the tournament, and like the winner gets like a skin or something, right? The way that it works in League of Legends, it takes the average of your ranks and places you in a very similar like bracket, right? It's like a playoff 8 teams. You do a little scouting period, you do a little draft. I think it's so awesome. I really hope it's
fun. Yeah, that would be really fun. I agree.
All right, so this is a big one. I think bigger than matchmaking. All right, so we know Riot is a company. They're there to make money, and I think arguably they've solidified themselves as the premier esports brand. League is the standard in professional esports. Riot is the metric. I don't care what anybody else says. Riot is esports. They know what they're doing. They know what makes them money. And I think there's a massive difference between what we think and what Riot knows, because they have all the datas. And I see a lot of ranting about esports, and I'm inclined to believe that the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, and Riot pulling the plug on the pro scene's kind of necessary for them, because if it would have been beneficial, I think they would continue. Now, I personally believe that esports is a hyper focus for content creators because it's good for them. It's good for us, but not necessarily a good decision for the game. And I do want to be clear, I don't think that esports is ever bad for a game. And unless I'm mistaken, esports almost always operates in a loss. It's basically advertisement, budget stuff. You know, the events draw excitement and hype, and then people come back to the game, they buy the skins and all that. You know, I could be wrong, but esports is generally not a profitable thing. But I think we got to be honest with ourselves and recognize that it's fair for them to pull the plug. And we're content creators, much like Riot, and we know what's good for our channels and what's not. And I'd like y'all to speak on this a bit. I know esports is a very passionate topic for people, and I know like how I want to ask it. It may sound confrontational, but I don't know any other way to word it. But how do content creators have the right to speak with authority on esports and suggest that Riot's on the wrong side of pulling it when when they're effectively the originators, the experts, and they have all the data? You know, why are we right and they're wrong? I know that was a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
I'm kind of rambling, but
so first things first, I don't think we are right. It's mostly that they should listen more to experienced people. They should listen to the ones that actually know what they're doing. So to sort of explain to you what I kind of noticed what the issue was, because I've been, you know, when I was in, what was it, Singapore, I talked with rioters that I was working directly with, making content. Okay. And what I noticed, every time I tried to come up with a solution to something, the issue is the higher ups. The higher ups, they want this. There is a budget for this. There is no budget for this. This has to be done. So they know what to do. They agree with a lot of the stuff I said. Because like I've been through Vainglory, right? Like I've been through this game. I've seen all the things that worked and I've seen all the things that didn't work. Talked about it all. And then writers were like, yeah, man, you're right. But we cannot do this. Because there's issues with doing it like this. There's issues with doing it like that. There's issues with all these issues with everything.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You know, like I can give you a perfect example. Like this is going to be a perfect example. When we did Wild Rift Worlds, the first day we had like 50k viewers and the second day we had 10k viewers. Why? There's one reason why. Is because Riot
I had no idea any of this stuff was going on.
Yeah, so Riot gave away a skin exclusive to Worlds. How do you win this skin? You watch the stream for 2 hours and you won the skin. That's it. Every single one that watched the stream for 2 hours, they won the skin. Now, is this the right way to give away the skin? Obviously, it's not. It's the stupidest way ever because everyone is just going to watch for 2 hours, claim the skin, and then they don't care at all anymore, right?
I mean, after you're hooked. What do you mean?
Right? Like, let me tell you what Vainglory did. They did it like 1 year. Vainglory absolutely nailed Worlds. So they had a way to give away the skin. You could just win it by entering random giveaways. Every 5 minutes, there would be random giveaways in the chat. Type exclamation mark, it was like a Catherine skin. Type exclamation mark Catherine to enter the giveaway. And every single time they would keep giving away, keep going. The chat was flooding all the time. Every single stream had at least 30k views. All of the other Vainglory Worlds only had like 5 to 10,000 views. Only that year, consistently at 30k with a single skin giveaway. So historically it works, right? Why does Riot not do it? Because, yeah, there's issues with that. We cannot do it like that. Why is it not being promoted in the in-game client like Honor of Kings does? Like Vainglory used to do it as well. Yeah, there's issues with that. There's rules. Why? Why? You know, why is there rules for that? Why is esports not in the game? Why is the player not getting a pop-up? There is this new exclusive Pike skin. You can only get it by entering giveaways, watching Worlds. Do you really not think Wild Rift Worlds would have hit 100k viewers that way? Easily. Easily it would have hit consistent 50k plus throughout the entire tournament instead of barely hitting 10k because no one cares anymore. That's the stupid thing. Like, it seems like Riot doesn't understand how badly players are incentivized by winning free skins. I've seen it on my YouTube channel. Like going from 100 comments per video to 1,000 by giving away 15 skins. Come on, like the data is here. People just want skins. That's all they want. They'll literally turn on the stream just for the skin. You have
What's
more
wild
viewers.
Is it doesn't cost them anything. It's
doesn't
free.
cost
They
them
already have
anything.
it built into the client. They don't
And I
lose
still
any
don't
money
get
by
why they
doing
don't do it. I still don't get it. Because they get more viewers, they make more from sponsors, they get more eyes on the game. If Wild Rift Worlds has 100k viewers, you know, all of the people are going to see it on the left side of Twitch. They're going to be like, what the hell is this game that has 100k viewers right now? They'll check it out, they'll see it. Right? Like it's free marketing that way. But if they see 8,000 views, no one is going to watch a random stream that has 8k views. But if you see something random that you have no idea what it is, it has 100k viewers, just naturally you're going to check it out. So I don't know, like I've said this story a million times already, but that was for me what I noticed the main issue about esports. The higher ups, I guess.
Higher ups.
Yeah, I guess that was the issue. They knew what to do, but they couldn't do it.
I have two perspectives in this. So first of all, we can all agree that marketing-wise, advertising-wise, and promotion-wise, Wild Rift did a terrible job with esports, right?
Yeah.
I completely agree with everything that Hell said, and that is number one point. I'm not going to reiterate everything. Hell's phrased it perfectly. The second aspect is why would I watch Wild Rift Esports when League of Legends Esports exists? Why would I watch Wild Rift Worlds when I can watch Faker in Worlds right now, right? So that's the second aspect of it, which I think at the beginning, Wild Rift didn't do a good job at kind of separating itself from League of Legends, which is an already perfect esports product, right? So by trying to use the same formula that worked in League of Legends and kind of trying to force esports, they did more harm than good. In my opinion, they should have held off in esports. They should have let Wild Rift kind of find its direction first, which I think it has kind of found now. It's kind of become its own game. And I think that's something you have to allow a game to grow organically when it comes to tournaments and esports. And then when you see that there's traction, that's when you really push it. I don't think that esports will never ever work in any game if the game comes out with the intention of esports. I think Honor of Kings actually doing that with their global release. And from what I'm seeing, it's not really working out very well.
Yeah.
They're just trying to hard force esports. But no one cares about esports on a game that they don't even play.
Yeah.
The organic way, which is the way that League of Legends did it, is immediately when the game came out, people immediately wanted competitive with it. They were doing like small ass tournaments that were getting hundreds of thousands of views with like no production value. Fortnite, they didn't even have a way to do tournaments, so players would queue up, try to get on the same game, and whoever gets the most kills would win. That would be the tournaments in Fortnite for like half a year, right? There was no even format. But because people loved the game, they wanted to compete, the esports scene grew organically. With Wild Rift, and I'm saying this as a pro player, right? I played before Wild Rift killed esports. I was a pro player. It was so forced immediately. There was no organic reach. The people who played the game did not care about esports. That was the main issue. That's something that they had to wait to be more organically before forcing it and trying to push it. And even when they did force and try to push it early on, like Hell said, they made so many mistakes in terms of advertising it that it just wasn't successful. And I feel like because it wasn't successful to begin with, Riot will be more hesitant to restart it now.
Yeah, there's actually one more issue. There's one more issue I didn't talk about because the way Riot did it is, I can actually tell you, like the hotels we were put in, you know how much the prices were? Like I remember in Singapore, it was like $800 a night. Like, dude, what? $800 just for me.
That's where
for the other casting.
They were probably price gouging, bro.
Like, bro, all the players were in cheaper hotels, but still like $500 a night. Like, come on, why? Like, we would be fine in cheaper hotels, dude. It's ridiculous. If you just look at what they spend it all on, it's ridiculous. Absolutely, the hotels alone. Just make it a bit cheaper. You know, of course, Riot wants to be the high-end company. Look at us. We have the best hotels. We're the best of the best. But come on, right? Like, it's not necessary.
That's exactly what I was saying. Like, they try to force it way too hard. You don't need crazy good production value. No one cares about that stuff. Yeah. All they care about is the game they love, seeing them play it at a competitive level. But the game was not ready for that. Especially because, like I said, it's pretty much a League of Legends clone on mobile, right? It's mobile League of Legends. Why would I watch the exact same game on mobile when I can watch Worlds, right? You need to let the game figure out its direction, become its own game like it has now, right? Right now, if the T-Hex was walking around Wild Rift Worlds, that would be so hype, you know? That would be its own thing that doesn't exist in other games. Now that the game has come to its own, I feel like it's possible to restart esports. However, they have to do it more organically. They have to do it through the client. That's a big thing in my opinion, because on mobile, it's different than PC, right? Yeah. Within the Wild Rift client, everything has to run through there. You need to have a tab for esports.
So what if they use Wild Rift? You know, what if basically, like you say, it's a clone of League? Why not just put it into that ecosystem? Like, you know, I go to a lot of concerts and you always have one or two openers and you're like, okay, get this over with. I'm here to see, you know, Aerosmith or whatever. So why not have, you know, Wild Rift Esports on before in the same arena right before the League champ, you know, as the opener, kind of like to get everybody warmed up. And then they're like, what the hell? What is this T-Rex bullshit? okay. And then they're like, this is a mobile game? And then while they're in the crowd, they're looking at the mobile sheet, you know, they're like, okay, well, I'm waiting on Faker, but this is a free download, by the way. You know, I don't know, like just that way you kind of get it in and it's there. You've got your community there. You've got your players. They're thriving or they're grinding towards the ultimate thing. And then they share the world stage, so to speak. And then you can kind of say, hey, well, we're actually getting a lot of interest in this. Now we can separate them. But in the meantime, instead of coming up with filler crap, let's throw Wild Rift in before as an opener just to get people warmed up, you know?
Just make them play a game of Wild Rift.
Take notes. That's an insane idea. We need Royal and Faker on the same stage together.
No, like actually make them play Wild Rift. Yeah. Cool.
Wild Rift should be the easiest entry into the Riot Games esports ecosystem and the Riot Games ecosystem in general. That's what Wild Rift should be. Yeah. It should be an introduction to League of Legends, but it should also be its own game. It should be the same familiar champions with the same familiar mechanics in a different type of mode. And this is actually something I wanted to mention here too that I know Hells you would love. I genuinely believe that Wild Rift needs to have a 3v3 mode that lasts 5 to 8 minutes. Quick games, 3v3 game mode, and it should be the, maybe if not the premier mode in Wild Rift, it should rival the Summoner's Rift game mode.
Okay, there's a few there. So this is a really cool idea on paper, but if you think about it a little bit deeper, how are the champions going to be balanced in 3v3, right? Like the single target champions are suddenly going to be a whole lot stronger than the
Who cares how it's balanced? The normal game isn't balanced.
No. So this actually,
I don't think the normal game is balanced.
The thing is though, like this actually happened with Vainglory, and no one played the 3v3 game mode. They will only play the main.
3v3?
Yeah, so they will only play the main game mode. Whichever game mode the game is being balanced for, the players are only gonna play that. They would never play the 3v3 game mode.
I think initially Wild Rift should have started as a 3v3, not a 5v5. I think Wild Rift being so similar to League has hurt it a lot. And I think the more it differentiates itself with a 3v3 game mode or even with a T-Hex, right, that's a big differentiation. And all these differentiations, as it separates itself from League of Legends, I think that's going to help Wild Rift in the long run.
Yeah, it worked for Vainglory in the beginning. They got so many players when they did the special 3v3, not 5v5, 3v3.
Yeah, that's the first time I played Vainglory. I saw Au Dominate do a sponsored video.
Yeah.
My parents were not letting me play League at the time because I was addicted. So I'm like, okay, I'm downloading Vainglory. If my parents kept me banned from League of Legends, maybe I'd become a Vainglory pro.
Yeah.
Well, talking about Vainglory, you know, currently I only know of Mobile Legends and Honor of Kings, but what else is there in the way of like competition for Wild Rift? Is there anything else? Just Mobile Legends and Honor of Kings?
There's no competition.
It's
competition
just Mobile Legends.
Exist for Wild Rift.
No, I mean, okay, I see where you're coming from.
They have a large player base. They do. So
the only competition is Mobile Legends. In Southeast Asia, Mobile Legends is not more popular than Wild Rift when it comes to Europe or NA. They're about the same. Okay. Mobile Legends is extremely popular in Southeast Asia, and they will continue to dominate that market no matter what. But Wild Rift is so much better in terms of gameplay that in the West, Mobile Legends will never be bigger than Wild Rift, and it's only going to get worse for Mobile Legends as the years go on because of how much worse it is as a game.
Yeah.
However, because they've dominated Southeast Asia to that degree, it's pretty much impossible for any other game to overtake them. So in that region, Mobile Legends will probably continue to be the best and the biggest.
Yeah. I never tried Honor of Kings. To me, it looks like pure doo-doo. I refuse to play it just based off how it looks.
Oh, I like Honor of Kings. Compared to Mobile Legends, Honor of Kings is like a massive upgrade. Obviously, I think the Wild Rift gameplay is better.
Yeah.
But compared to Mobile Legends, Honor of Kings is way better. That's how bad Mobile Legends is. Mobile Legends is like unplayable bad.
I tried Mobile Legends recently. I found the new player introduction to be pretty good. I also liked how they had like really well made videos embedded into the menus and stuff like that. I thought it was really cool. I was impressed with that, but
similar stuff. Actually, the Wild Rift client in China has similar stuff to that. I don't know if you guys know this, but Wild Rift in China is like a different experience.
Yeah,
like a million times better.
Why do they have separate? That don't make no sense.
It's like separate companies or something.
It's got to be more work for them.
They have streams. I'm not sure if they have streams because obviously I don't understand Chinese, but They have a lot of really cool features in the Chinese
That actually
client.
hurts to hear. I didn't know that.
It's so much better. If I didn't have 300 ping, I would only play on the Chinese server. Even with 300 ping, I think after I get rank 1 again in NA, I'm probably gonna just play in the Chinese server from now on.
So what are some things that the other games are doing that Riot could take inspiration from and implement it, like, actively?
I don't think there's
the main thing for me is in-client tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that would be huge for Wild Rift personally, and I really hope they do it. But other than that, obviously fix matchmaking, but other mobile games have worse matchmaking than Wild Rift, so I can't even... Like, Mobile Legends matchmaking is literally way worse than Wild Rift, so I hope they don't take from that. But I do hope they take the good stuff like the in-client tournaments.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add than what I've said before that they need to add to the game, so...
All right, we get ready to close it out. We got tomorrow. All right, Riot reaches out to both of you tomorrow, and they grant you 3 wishes for Wild Rift. What are the 3 things you're having done? I guess Royal, you go first. Which is 3 wishes tomorrow. Riot
the
says you can have it all.
Number one biggest thing is fix the matchmaking. I've already explained earlier in the video how to fix that. Either copy the LoL matchmaking or force players into Legendary Queue. Those are the 2 easiest ways to do it. Obviously, if I was in charge, I would completely change the matchmaking. It would be completely different. But since we're living under a more realistic universe, we'll just do copy the League of Legends matchmaking, or even better, fix or push players towards Legendary Queue. So matchmaking is definitely number 1. Number 2 is, like I said, the in-client tournaments. I think in-client tournaments would be extremely successful in Wild Rift. And I know that Riot loves this type of community approach. Or even like a guild tournaments, because we have guilds in Wild Rift, right? Yeah. I think that would be really, really cool. Maybe have like a guild leaderboard and all that type of stuff. I think this would also be a good way to organically promote esports in the future, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, in-client tournaments is probably the biggest thing that... Obviously, I care about matchmaking the most, but this would be the biggest thing, the best feature going forward for Wild Rift. And lastly, I think a 3v3 game mode would be very, very successful. I know Hells might not be too huge of a fan because it kind of splits the player base, but I think a big issue with Wild Rift is still how similar it is to League of Legends. I think 20-minute games, which is how long a Wild Rift game takes nowadays, like you get Elder Baron and you end, right? That's in 20 minutes. I don't think that's short enough compared to League of Legends, which is 35 minutes on average, right? It's not that much longer, so why not play League of Legends if you have the option to, right? Instead of Wild Rift. I think Wild Rift needs to make an effort to keep games way shorter, similar to what Honor of Kings does.
Okay.
I think Honor of Kings is like 12 to 13 minutes. I ideally think that a 3v3 mode that lasts 5 to 6 minutes, something like that, something that's super quick, would be very successful, and it's kind of what Wild Rift needs to be. Wild Rift, while it's awesome as a game on its own, you have to always keep in mind that League of Legends exists, so you need to separate yourself by making it wild. So those are my 3 wishes.
All right, Hells, 3 wishes.
Yeah, for me, the number 1 would be matchmaking as well. Exact same story as Royal. I would prefer the legendary queue thing rather than copying League of Legends. All right. And the number 2 thing would be to support content creators more. You know, I love this game. I would love to do this full time rather than trying to, you know, focus more time on my side hustles and whatnot. I think there needs to be more support for content creators. Promote them in the game. Have creator codes. Have proper programs. Etc. etc. I think that would be super big for the game, to just have proper content. Like, I see so many people complaining about that, and that's the only solution to that issue. Number 3, it's difficult to choose a thing, but like, I really enjoyed esports, and I think when we all talked about esports, I think community tournaments need to be properly restarted. You know, you currently have Purge in EU, I think, or NA or whatever, but like
it's actually the finals are today, by the way. Yeah, that's not like did you even know that?
Exactly, no one cares, because the thing is, number 1, it just doesn't get promoted at all. It's just Perch tweeting it out and whatever. They get funding from Riot, but like no one cares. Like no one cares. No one is. They have like
prize pools are small. The hype is small. There's no market.
You know, the prize pools are small. It's not getting promoted. The cast.
I think they're doing a good job actually.
I have no idea what they're even doing.
What they have.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like
I don't even know what you're talking about. So
right, like that's what I mean.
Like
so,
I literally. Like I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I don't even know what Perch is. I don't know if it's a player, an organization, an event. I don't know what
yeah, it's saying. An organization that does community tournaments, and that's the only tournaments that you can.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't even have that. It's just people making Discord servers and making a tournament. That's what we have in NA. Yeah. There's actually a tournament, I think tomorrow or today. I'm not actually sure, but I want to stream it. I want to try. I want to try to create content with esports, so I definitely agree with Hells. That would be really nice. Yeah, like some kind of support. It doesn't have to be like a full-on push, but some kind of organic growth, I think, would be massive.
Yeah, and I think those are my greatest wishes to grow this game.
My 3 wishes: matchmaking is the first one, and along the lines of matchmaking, it's one thing to just throw a blanket fix out there. But if you look at anything done professionally or at a high level, your football, your baseball, basketball, soccer, or football, whatever we're calling it over the pond, everybody knows your top players, your coaches, your organizational leaders, everybody knows how ranking is distributed. They know how to rank up. They know how seeds work, all of this thing. I don't know why Riot has to keep matchmaking a big secret. There's this thing like, oh, well, they'll exploit it. Well, yeah, but every sports, every ranking system in the world has this thing. If everybody's trying to exploit, it's a zero sum. It becomes its own competition. So I think they need to be a little more transparent with matchmaking. If they're not going to fix it, do a better job of explaining how it works, maybe. But anyway, I want to see matchmaking fixed.
I promise you, if they explained how matchmaking works behind closed doors, the game would die the next day.
It would probably reveal how shady they are.
It's so. If only the casual player bases know what I know, they would immediately quit.
Yeah, but that's what nearly happened with the Scion thing. That's why they
immediately
fixed it. Right? They immediately fixed it because they knew, oh god, if people know this is how it works, they're all gonna start trolling.
My next strategy
is speculation though. But if they have to come out and admit it, you know, like say, yeah, we are doing this thing. But yeah, fix matchmaking. Implement a real content creator program. You know, it doesn't have to be freebies, but bros, just something, you know. And then gacha, as a gacha content creator, I legitimately fear I'm going to be priced out. It's not sustainable. I cannot. I mean, think about that. If I say I spent $12,000 doing content for this game, and I've made $97. Objectively, most people will call you insane, tell you kick rocks. I'm in the wrong business. This is not just operating at an initial loss. This is just full-blown insanity. You see what I'm saying? So for someone like me who likes to cover gacha, I actually think I'm not going to be able to do it much longer. It's getting too expensive, too crazy. So those are my 3 wishes. Matchmaking, a real content creator support system, and chill out with the gacha. Anyway. All right, gentlemen, here we are. We're at the end. And I don't think we're going to have a change, but just because I said we were going to do it, we're going to revisit that very first question. Is Wild Rift thriving or dying? I think it's thriving. I think we got issues, but I think we're steady growing. Do you guys want to change anything?
No, I think it's thriving, but it's just being held back by the higher ups. And this can't be done. There's issues with this, but I still think it's thriving.
Okay.
I wouldn't say thriving. I think it's steadily growing at a slow pace. I do think that there's a lot of potential in Wild Rift, and I feel like the time to act is running out because the current generation of gaming that we have, right? We're not going to have it forever. We're not going to have it for decades on end. Technology is going to evolve, and Wild Rift will fall behind eventually. So I think it's a shame that Riot is not making use of the potential that it has, but it's definitely not dying. It's steadily growing.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both so much. It's really been fun. You know, we're just kind of sitting here talking about it, but I'm really enjoying it, and I low key, well, openly, I look forward to doing more content like this. Nobody's doing content like this. You know, I love, you know, when I'm walking around at work, put on something and just listen to it in the background. There's very few Wild Rift content creators I'm able to do this, and I want this type of content. It's been such a good time. It's an honor and a privilege to sit with you guys. Please really think about it. Let's do it again sometime. It's been great. And to you, the viewers, you know, thank y'all for the engagement. Leave your comments, share the videos, the clips. I don't know where it's going to be. I think, Hell, you're going to upload the whole thing, I think.
This video is going to have a crazy title, by the way. Just watch.
But I just thank y'all so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great. And again, kind of what I say when I close off all my videos, just remember that being a good person is more important than being a good player with a good skin. We'll catch you on the Rift. Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
All right, man.